Hello. You guys are so high. Hold on. Let's see. Ah, I love having an adjustable screen. Or screens, plural, but still. Hi. Let's see. Is that better? Ah, Kuna, wait. We have it back. Kuna, you won the Swell Grand Prix. Thank you for subscribing you. With all the rats. Cheers, rats. And Creeper, you won the Swell Grand Prix as well. Now we have a hype train. Thank you, guys. And Shion subscribed on YouTube 8 hours ago, but that still popped up here. Hi. Oh, goodness. Back home, man. Yeah, you know how long I'm home for? Till Friday. But you know what? That meant that's more than 2 days. This is more than a laundry layover, so this is good. This is progress. Okay? Which means I was able to go to the grocery store and I was able to make soup. And you guys, I feel high. Because this is my first home cooked meal, and I kid you not, 3 weeks. I'm a new human being, frankly. Truly. My sinuses are still I sound a little wonky still, so I do apologize. But I will say I am largely less congested than when I was in Detroit. Is that ramen? No, I made soup. I got Italian sausage, like ground up, and then I mushed it up with some veggies. So I'm extremely excited. What? A bunch of people I've never heard of before. Why am I following you? A bunch of people are like posting for the first time in like months for some reason on Twitter, and it keeps notifying me of people, and I'm like, who are you? Soup stream, yay, yes, hi. You sound better. Hopefully you finish recovering soon. I mean, I'm fine. It's not even recovering. I'm not sick. That's what's so annoying. If I was sick, then I would have like an excuse to like chill out. I don't have an excuse because it's just my allergies and the fact that my sinuses are so temperamental. This is still clearing up, which is annoying. I want this dry patch to disappear. It's driving me insane still. We'll see how that goes this week. But I got a hankering 2 days ago for hot chocolate. My brother makes the best hot chocolate. I getcha. Yes, he made it for me, mood. But no, I've just been traveling so much. It's just one of those things, you know? And I'm traveling again. Like, I knew my January was going to be insane, and I'm, like, so blessed. I've gotten to do some amazing things. I've gotten to do cool things, go to cool places. My job is cool. But, like, I do admit I like having a kitchen, you know? Not that I belong there, but, you know, it's the home cooked meal, you know, and that's just something that when you're traveling you kind of miss out on. And some people don't mind missing out on that, because like also like if you stay in an Airbnb, then you have options. I am not an Airbnb person unless I'm traveling with other people. I prefer the safety of a hotel room if I'm traveling alone. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. But like, at least with an Airbnb, you usually get a kitchen. You know, you got things to do. But I didn't film today. I got back late last night. I was worried about my flight being delayed because typically when I've had to be on a plane that's had to be de-iced, it usually gets delayed. But I made it back on time still, so that was good. Detroit's weather was bothering me because it's like, you said there was no snow today. Why am I looking outside and seeing snow? You know, like, what is going on? I am hotel loyalty. Unfortunately, it's currently Hilton. Which, for those who don't know, Hilton has not been responding well to some of their hotels refusing to sequester ice or let ice stay in their hotels. And so they get a lot of support because people are like, yeah, fuck you guys, let's go book a Hilton. And then Hilton is like, we have dropped our partnership with that hotel. And it's like, what the fuck is your problem? This is a slam dunk for you. You don't have to support these fucking goons. What are we doing? So, but this is also still happening again, so we'll see how this plays out. The bookings I have are already in place, you know, but I do have Marriott loyalty and things like that. So it is what it is. Highly recommend. So it's not so much highly recommend. I just need a clean place to shower and a clean place to sleep. That's what I need. I need to be able to rest. I need a safety. I need a door lock that works. Okay. There have been hotels that I will never stay at again because of how they handled certain things. Sahara in Vegas, I used to stay there every time I was in Vegas when I didn't get like a room comped through my dad's degenerate gambling. And I will never stay to Sahara again because of how their security handled. Thank you for subscribing. Hold on. Epic MILF Machine, you won the Swell Grand Prix with a Prime boost. Thank you for subscribing. I will never stay with them again because of something that happened a few years ago when I was there for my friend's bridal shower. I will just straight up never stay there again. Was I actively unsafe? No. Did I feel like I was being human trafficked or about to be? Yes. And I was scared immensely. So, and they handled it horribly. So fuck them. But usually it's something like that. It usually takes a lot. Holiday Inns, usually very reliable. Same with like a DoubleTree, what's it called? Hamptons Inn. A lot of things like that. I used to do extended stay hotels because they're often cheaper. I don't know if I'll do them again just because they do go up and down in cleanliness, unfortunately. But usually most Hilton properties, Holiday Inns, things like that, those are pretty reliable when it comes to cleanliness. And that's really all I ask for. The flag has returned, yes, because I'm back home. I was so upset over Hilton's response. Apparently it's still happening, so I mean maybe the hotels themselves are going to start rallying against the executives, which we'll see how that plays out. Hilton, the reality is that Hilton as a chain owns a lot of other chains. The same with, say, a Marriott Bonvoy and things like that. There's like the boutique collection where they were like bought a lot of like small independent hotels to flip them to be a part of their like Hilton boutique line and things like that. So it's like avoiding it's harder than say avoiding Starbucks. Let's put it that way. You know, if you're a traveler. Airbnb is also on a shit list for a lot of people. So is I think Booking.com and Expedia I think are on the shit list for a lot of people as well. Like it's one of those things where I will avoid it if I can, but they own a fuckload, you know. Hyatt is really mid. Hyatt is fine with. I have points with pretty much everyone. Marriott, Hyatt, you know, Booking.com, all of them. Still have never done Vrbo. I've never been I've had one bad experience with Airbnb, but it's just so tedious. Trolly McTrollface. Oh whoa. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Is it trolley or trolley? Are you fucking with me? I don't know. Is this going to be a chargeback situation? What's happening? I'm trying not to look a gift horse in the mouth. You've won the Swell Grand Prix with 5 gifted subs, but I'm also stressed. Thank you. I'm tired. I've been traveling. Like, are you being nice or are you trolling? Love the username. No, I know. The username is stressing me out. Has been pretty good in my experience. BW is 50-50. And Marriott Sonder was a thing. Yeah, Sonder was a thing. That's now gone. But, like, I'm going to be honest. There was a few people that I knew that used Sonder, and only, like, one of them had a good experience. And that was, like, a very specific, they were barely ever in the room type of thing. Whoop. My friend lived in Boston for a time, and so she was asking like how I was adjusting to Detroit. I was like, I think I'm physically allergic to Detroit, frankly. I think I'm just allergic to a lot of climates because when I'm in Vegas for too long as well, the dryness also gets to me. I do think that I am just too acclimatized to California. You know, I've lived here my whole life. I'm born and raised here. I think I'm just destined to stay in the sunshine state. I think that's just the reality of it. I've heard of people using Airbnb to promote their own website where they can book directly with the host. I just think it's such a circle jerk, and I think it's such a mess now with how it's like capabilities and affecting the housing market and things like that. Like a lot of cities are outlawing it, so it's I don't know. It's not like I'm not considering to be like, oh, all Airbnbs are bad, but like I've been to like only a handful that I think were like genuinely like a net positive for the area to have an option. You know. No, the fees are insane. That's why it's insane. They're not worth it at this point. They just aren't. You know, like where it's worth it is like when someone else is, footing the bill. Frankly, when I went to Cannes Lions, I didn't have to pay for that Airbnb at all because none of us did because my friend was speaking and they gave her a credit for Airbnb and she was like, "We got 2 rooms and a couch. Come stay with us," you know. But like that was an instance where we weren't the ones paying the fees, you know. So I'm just checking emails. Oh, I've been looking at a Calpac backpack. I don't know why I'm looking because the one that I want, they don't even have the color that I want. Basically, I'll show you guys. Oh, they got it in blue though. The blue is kind of sick. Okay, this is what I want. This is not available. Let me show you. This red 26 liter laptop duffel backpack in red. Okay? That's what I want. It's not available. Okay? It's sold out. Yes, they have my email. However, okay, why do I need this? Okay, so it's smaller. Basically, I'm traveling so much to the point where I'm realizing like how I want to fine tune my travel setup, which I think is really common if you travel a lot. Like if you travel really infrequently, then like the one suitcase you have, da 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 da, like you kind of figure it out, you can sort it out. But when you travel as much as I do, you really start to be like, okay, how can I fine tune these travel accoutrements? Okay, so I can maximize this the most. Okay, my standard backpack and my baboon to the moon duffel bag, which I did a video on like 9,000 years ago. I still use it. I need something between those two. I need a functional duffel bag backpack that's like a carry-on backpack that works for most airlines. This would work for most airlines. I fly Delta a lot, but Delta is not, the doesn't fly everywhere, so I do have to look at other airlines from time to time. But a laptop backpack that is just small enough, but also is like a travel backpack that I can shrink and use some clothes storage in. It has a lot of pockets. Option, okay. And then I'm also looking at my current carry-on one that I just used is fine for now, but it is falling apart. So I'm gonna try and repair it as best as I can in the coming weeks. But I am prepared for it to fully bust out on me because because it was part of a set, and the middle one also busted out on me one time in the middle of a trip, which was super fun. So I got rid of that one. And that's why I got my Toomey luggage that you guys see from time to time, the big black luggage with the AG on it, my initials. Problem with that luggage, it's beautiful, stunning. It's heavy as shit, and it gives me trouble every time I'm at the airport. If I have to check a bag, because it's a fabric bag, it already weighs more. So stuff in my bag that should be no problem weight-wise, we're already dealing with we're already too close to the 50-pound limit. That guy Omen, you won the Swell Grand Prix. Thank you for subscribing. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in a no buy, but the reality is that this would not be a work purchase. It would be a personal purchase. But it's not one thing where, like, this is not I'm making a frivolous decision. These are things that I've been thinking about for a while. And there are exceptions to my rules. Also, this is my life and I get to do what I want. You know what I'm saying? So and like these are things that are actively making things more difficult. You know what I'm saying? I've extended my no buy, but there is more leeway in certain things like physical media and things like that. Cap, 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 Capnalt, you won the Swell Grand Prix with a Prime Boost. Bah, 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 bah. Thank you for subscribing. More of a business expense, really. Yeah, but I wouldn't put it on the business card. It's more so like I travel so much. I have a lot of gear with me. I need something like a backpack of this size because the reality is that the other backpack, like I used the duffel bag for my baboon to the moon purple bag for Detroit, and it was the reality is I need something that fits under the seat. It just barely fits under the seat to the point that if I wasn't a diamond medallion with Delta, they would have given me shit for how much it sticks out from under the seat. And since I'm an aisle seater, it's also a problem because then people are stepping over my shit and there's a laptop in there and a camera. You know what I'm saying? So I need something that's just smaller but still very versatile and has a ton of pockets. Yeah, the reality is like I didn't travel for most of my life, chat. This is still fairly new in the stage of Amanda's adulthood. Like the Calpack you guys see, I bought that in a set of three on sale from when I had a Nordstrom rack like clearance section addiction when I first YouTube first started taking off. Like all of my purchases were from Nordstrom Rack's clearance. Like I was obsessed with Nordstrom Rack clearance. And so I think I got like those three suitcases, that set of three, for like 200, 300 bucks, like a pretty solid deal. But like they were in clearance for a reason. They're kind of shit, you know. So I'm not going to replace my small carry-on luggage right now. It needs a deep cleaning. I need to scrub it real well. And I think I can fix the seam on one side because it's the actual binding bit that like secures it. It's really come loose, so I think I need to restitch that. But the checked luggage, I gotta look into that. You know, what's on clearance? Nothing. That's the problem. But here is the blue one in case you guys want to see this. This is the blue one. It's like an electric blue. I like a bright colored one just because then I'll always know it's mine. And if someone is moving it, touching it, things like that, I always put a keychain or something on it, or I tie a bow and a knot that I've like stitched onto it. Like make it very clear that it's mine. But a black bag is too easy for like someone to swipe or to blend in with other people and be like, no, that's my bag. A bright colored bag is easier to determine that is mine very quickly. There's also a pink one, but I don't like the pink. I'm not a pink It's like you guys it doesn't even show up. That's so funny. Let me see. Why am I doing it this way when I can do it on screen? What is wrong with me? Hold on. Okay. Screen share. Okay. So this isn't in pink. This is the one I want. Okay. This is the size. It's like just slightly. So like for example, the one that I currently have, that's the baboon to the moon one, goes like it's a good I think it's like a 30 gallon, 40. I don't know which size I have. But like this is backpack shaped and it's perfect size. You know what I'm saying? They have other colors, but like these are the limited ones. Red is sold out. I love the red. This is the blue. I like how electric the blue looks. And I do think it would be different from everything else. They also have, these are the green options. I don't like the matte, frankly. The matte looks kind of silly, and also this looks a little too military for me. The matte we get into, I also feel like these would be annoying to keep clean. There is this lilac color. But I feel like we get into it looking, I don't know. The matte gives tactical, geez, it's boring army green, yeah. The rest of the best one, the pink is too pale. Like, I like the lilac, is this lilac? What are they calling this? This is amethyst. Amethyst. Here's the black. Again, for the exact purposes I mentioned, I don't want a black. They have this screen, which I do kind of. This would be identical to my carry-on luggage, which would be very easy for me to be like, these are both mine. You know what I'm saying? The material is the exact same as this one. It's the same exact material. It's because of the coloring, it's photographed differently. But it's literally the exact same. They definitely stand out. Here's the I feel like these straps would get so sorry, the sound I made. These straps. Like, see, I like that there's like the duffel storage in here. I like that they keep their shape. You know what I'm saying? I like that it's got this pocket. I can slide it on there like that. You know, it's just a very functional bag that I think is why I like it so much. You know what I'm saying? Then there's this one that's on sale, but it's also that matte and it's ugly as shit. I actually hate it. Okay. I feel like the options would be green. Yeah. Laptop pocket that's padded. I also like the laptop pocket because the one I doesn't have, it has a pocket, but it's not padded, you know? Adjustable shoulder straps. Multi-opening configuration. Like, it's perfect because you've got the straps, you can secure it, you can tighten it down, you know? Luggage trolley sleeve. Use fabric paint to jazz it up a bit. Or there's this one. Or we have the blue, the standard blue. The prices are all the same on these, by the way. And I think there's a slight discount happening, so I could get a discount slightly. Then these are all the other items. The toiletry bag. What's the hanging toiletry bag looking like? See, these are all sold out. If there's a good toiletry bag ever, they sell out so quickly. There's one that North Face did. That was a collab with like flowers on it that I was obsessed with, and it's totally sold out. Like a good, if you make a good functional toiletry bag, it'll sell out immediately. So, yeah, see that this, is it a 50 liter that I have? This looks more correct to what I have with my Baboon to the Moon. Like just this side of too big. You know what I'm saying? Maybe slightly smaller than this. Whereas this is 26 liters and like perfect. You know what I'm saying? Why do you can like the matte one better. It's totally cool if you like the matte. I just don't like, I like the look of these. I like that they look a little shiny. Realistically, these are my options. Because this one is sold out. The red. Devastated. I think I'd never lose this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would see it forever. This matches everything, and obviously I like green. And then this is just pretty. You know? And then I just would never wear this. So, Still thinking about it, but those are my current options. And then do you guys want to see the potential? I'm looking for suggestions. I probably won't do Calpac again. I have a Monos bag that I like, and then I've heard obviously good things about Away and Base. But I can show you guys. I'm not buying anything right now. These are just looking at options. Luggage. These would be my check-in ones. Okay. So these are check-ins. They have other colors. It would be, this is check-in large. I would want like check-in medium, probably. Expandable. Let's see. Is this it? They have a trunk model that I like. See, I could like do green. I like the green. I don't have any opinions on the brand Supreme now. I like so this is the normal, and then they have the hybrid trunk. I've never had a trunk suitcase, but I like how they look. Just because, look, it's like deeper on one side, which is how a lot of luggage already functions, you know? But yeah. Also, I like the stripe detailing because this is a special partnership that they're doing. And then what was the other one I said? Away. Luggage. Hermes. Thank you, Terrace House Guy. You won the Swell Grand Prix. Womp, 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 womp. Ow, sorry. I'm whacking myself. Okay, this is the carry-on. I need the checked luggage. Let's go. Luggage. Checked luggage. The medium. Also of green. Like, these are boring, which I'm fine with. Like, the luggage doesn't need to be... The last thing I want is Ramoa. The last thing I want. I do like that they have the, like, built-in things. Monos does the same thing. I don't want spam, thank you. Monos does the exact same thing. But it's the fact that there's not a bunch of extra fabric in here that would be the ideal. You know what I'm saying? Actually drive me nuts. Really? I love the inside stripes. I thought they were so fun. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. But yeah, I got a text message that was like, there's a sale. Let's see. And then I'm making sure I don't have... We're good. Okay. So I'm waiting for one thing for tomorrow's video. And then I'm gonna go. Oh, obviously I have Wi-Fi again. Yay, my Wi-Fi is back. Basically, I came home, got the cable, got it hooked up, and then it like deleted my password, so I had to make a new password, but then it wasn't letting me make a new password, so I had to use one of their generated passwords. So their generated password is stupid, but I don't think anyone would be ever able to hack it because it is a stupid password. It's not so much the ugliest luggage ever that would get people not to take it, because then people think it's theirs, but they also are like, you clearly don't travel. And like, people are weird. You never know. You should AirTag everything still, but you know. Let's see. I might get more soup, chat. Do you guys want to hear about Brooklyn Beckham's drama with his family? Any luggage horror stories? Not a ton, actually. Just usually like my luggage busting open at the airport. Like, it's usually things like that, or like them cutting, you know, locks and things like that. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, do you guys want to hear? Yes, I saw the IG post. Okay. I haven't read it yet. So basically, Brooklyn Beckham is the son of Victoria Beckham and David Beckham. Okay, he is married to Victoria Peltz Beckham, Victoria Peltz is the daughter of a billionaire. She's an heiress and an actress, but mostly an heiress. And she'll always be the girl that played Katara in the first live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender to me, because I thought that was really, really funny. Bye. I saw some of the drama but didn't read the whole thing. Okay, so like, do you want me to do a dramatic rating? Because Pop Base very thankfully, you know, shared this. Basically, there's been drama with their relationship since they got together. Like, his parents clearly don't approve of her, for whatever reason. I am occasionally messy, so I just chalk this up to like rich famous people behavior, and like, who knows. Who knows what it could be, but he recently, it was reported that his brother and his parents unfollowed him, and then his brother was like, no, 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 my parents didn't unfollow anyone, we all woke up blocked, he blocked all of us, which makes it so that it removes your follower count basically from their thing. So Brooklyn apparently now has finally responded to all of this. Oh, that's right. She was on Bates Motel. I forgot. All right. This is a multi-slide story. It's very beefy. This is just one slide. I've been silent for years and made every effort to keep those matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not want to reconcile with my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. For my entire life, my parents have controlled narratives in the press about our family. The performative social media posts, family events, and inauthentic relationships have been a fixture of the life I was born into. Recently, I have seen with my own eyes the lengths that they will go to replace countless lies in the media, mostly at the expense of innocent people, to preserve their own facade. And I believe the truth always comes out. Sorry. My parents have been trying endlessly to ruin my relationship since before my wedding, and it hasn't stopped. My mom canceled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour, despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. Weeks before our big day, my parents repeatedly pressured and attempted to bribe me into signing away the rights to my name, which would have affected me, my wife, and our future children. They were adamant on me signing before my wedding date because then the terms of the deal would be initiated. My holdout affected the payday, and they have never treated me the same since. During the wedding planning, my mom went so far as to call me evil because Nicola and I chose to include my nanny Sandra and Nikolai's nanny at our table because they both didn't have their husbands. Both of our parents had their own tables equally adjacent to ours. The night before our wedding, members of my family told me that Nicola was not blood and not family. Since the moment I started standing up for myself with my family, I've received endless attacks from my parents, both privately and publicly, that were sent to the press on their orders. Even my brothers were sent to attack me on social media before they ultimately blocked me out of nowhere this last summer. My mom hijacked my first dance with my wife, which had been planned weeks in advance, to a romantic love song. In front of our 500 wedding guests, Mark Anthony called me to the stage where the schedule was planned to be my romantic dance with my wife, but instead my mom was waiting to dance with me instead. She danced very inappropriately on me in front of everyone. I've never felt more uncomfortable or humiliated in my entire life. We wanted to renew our vows so we could create new memories of our wedding day that bring us joy and happiness, not anxiety and embarrassment. My wife has been consistently disrespected by my family. No matter how hard we've tried to come together as one, my mom has repeatedly invited women from my past into our lives in a way that were clearly intended to make us both uncomfortable. Despite this, we still traveled to London for my dad's birthday, and we were rejected for a week as we waited in our hotel room trying to plan quality time with him. He refused all of our attempts unless it was at his big birthday party with 100 guests and cameras at every corner. When we finally agreed, thank you for following. When we finally agreed to see me, it was under the condition that Nicola wasn't invited. It was a slap in the face. Later, when my family traveled to LA, they refused to see me at all. My family values public promotion endorsements above all else. Brand Beckham comes first. Family love is decided by how much you post on social media or how quickly you drop everything to show up and pose for a family photo op, even if it's at the expense of our professional obligations. We've gone out of our way for years to show up and support every fashion show, every party, and every press activity to show our perfect family. But the one time my wife asked for my mom's support to save displaced dogs during the LA fires, my mom refused. The narrative that my wife controls me is completely backwards. I've been controlled by my parents for most of my life. I grew up with overwhelming anxiety. For the first time in my life since stepping away from my family, that anxiety has disappeared. I wake up every morning grateful for the life I chose and have found peace and relief. My wife and I do not want a life shaped by image press or manipulation. All we want is peace, privacy, and happiness for all in our future family. No, that's all the slides. God, I'm trying to like read the replies to someone to get context for something else, and the comments are just full of OnlyFans bots. So sorry. Which Beckham? This is Brooklyn Beckham. This is the son that's married to Nicola Peltz. Oh, damn. Yeah. It was like 5 sides. In the post, as someone said, it sounds like Harry and Meghan, and it kind of does sound small in smaller scale, And like the reality is like the Beckham family is very tied with the crown. This also could just be, the reality is that my understanding of the UK, especially some of like the wealthier families, is that there is still, a bit of a, she's not our kind type of mentality, even if she comes from a billion, like I don't know. I don't think anyone would have been comfortable with whoever he would have picked would have been comfortable with if a billionaire's daughter wasn't good enough because she was American, because she's an actress, because she's, I don't know, who knows? Comment somewhere. I mean, this is it's pretty cut and dry. The wedding dance thing is really fucked. There's a level of bullshit here that the wedding dance thing when I'm just like, yeah. I don't like there's a level of I just see this with moms so much with their sons where it's a level of like displaying ownership, like whether it's at the engagement, whether it's at the gender reveal, whether it's at the wedding. Like I don't doubt that happened because it's very weird and it unfortunately happens. Is that racism? I think it's more prejudice than there. I don't think it's racism. I think it's prejudice, maybe. Makes me think his mom didn't want him married at all. No, they usually don't. A lot of boy moms don't. Like it's you didn't listen to me, so now I'm gonna embarrass you. Like unfortunately there's things like that. My mom did the same thing with me about things where if I didn't fall in line and didn't listen to her, she would purposely embarrass me in front of people. It's like, yeah, okay. I can't give him shit for cutting off his parents because I also cut off my mom. For a photography book. He wasn't canceled for the photography book. He, as far as Nepo Baby goes, is just wildly mediocre at pretty much everything that he tries. He was going to be in a movie that he was supposed to be in one scene of Nicola's movie that she was directing. And she had to cut out his bit because he was so bad. She couldn't get him to act. Like he was so comically bad at acting. She was like, just don't look at the camera. Just don't say, fuck the line. Ignore the line. Just don't look at the camera. And he couldn't do it. So like he's just not particularly gifted at most things, which is almost you know what, it's almost brave to have all of the power and talent and the like at your fingertips potentially. You could hire anyone to make you incredible. And you just aren't, It's a superpower. Yeah, I think at this point it's like it's impressive. Few quarts low on oil. Yeah, let's go with that. Classism? Yeah, we can go with classism. I think that works as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say he was canceled for it. because like it was just like it was immediately revealed, just like people were like, are you gonna buy it? Like it was more so like people were laughing at people that were buying it. I wouldn't classify it as canceling. I wouldn't call it that, you know. But sorry for the tangent. I just saw that and was like, oh. I couldn't find the right word. My English is rusty today. You're all right. Yeah, but I wanted to clarify because like I think canceling is this very specific thing. Like, and this is, you know, was he made fun of? Sure, sure. Could he make another one tomorrow? Absolutely. He's got money, you know. All right, I'm gonna get either more soup or I'm gonna get the donut holes that I bought at the store today. I'll be right back. Oh my god, my legs. Hi, Bubba's. All right. I did not get more soup. I got donut dots. Oh, by the way, I think I finally figured out my true privilege as a short person. And that is being able to go into an airport bathroom, an airplane bathroom in the air, and be able to fully stretch up like this, standing. Like stand up and stretch and just barely touch the ceiling. I think that's my true power because I could fully stretch in that plane. It was amazing. That's fair, 1010. I mean, some people are well adjusted. So the reality is that I think this is I think it's twofold for the boy mom thing. Because I think my mom was sometimes a boy mom. I don't necessarily think my mom was a boy mom. I think she just very clearly liked my brother better. But not because she like preferred having a boy. She felt in competition with me from the time I was born in a lot of ways. Especially as I got older and it was very clear I looked like her and I was younger and I had options, you know, like there was a lot of that fed into it. So there was just things that like she just coddled my brother. But I think that's really also common with like oldest children, you know, firstborns. There's also the reality of like my dad always says that like if all the kids that they had been like me, my parents would have had like 5 kids. But my brother is a little psycho. Love him, but he was a little psycho. I was a very easy baby and my brother was not, you know. And so literally like they stopped having kids after my brother. And so I think it was like this is the baby I'm going to have. You know, there's that on top of it. A lot of women as well stay in marriages where their husband kind of hates them. And then they have a son, and so they think that they can like have a son that's going to take care of them the way that they have a husband that does not take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, like I'm your first love. You love me more because it's like I gave birth to you. I'm your favorite. I'm the most important woman in your life. You know, like that whole thing because they are not the most important woman in their husband's life. You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes that happens and like, you know, everyone knows men that like they're Their mom is, and it's not even like, I shouldn't say it's like their mom being important is a bad thing. I want to make that abundantly clear. Um, but like they're very dependent on their moms, even though they're like 30. You know what I'm saying? Um, and also, you can always tell as well in a family, like, you can always tell when a family, like, they may love the son in their family, but they also are acknowledging that he's kind of a piece of shit. Like, the amount of my friends that were told, like, met the family, like, when they were dating someone, and by the end of the dinner, sisters, the mom, whoever else is like, I don't know what he has on you, but you are too good. Please leave him. Please leave him. He's still texting Sarah. Please leave him. like like they may love him, but they're also like, he's not ruining this girl's life. That's just not happening. You know what I'm saying? And then there are some women that like straight up would never, their son has done no wrong, even if he's cheated on everyone that he's ever been around, you know? It's like, well, because I'm just the most important. No other woman can compare to me. You know, it's like, it's a lot. And those type of men suck, yes. Includes the spouse's man, the well, as well. It's not even just that. It's just like, I don't know. I am at this point as well where it's like, I was literally watching Chelsea Fagan, the financial diet. She did a video a few days ago that was like, hey, stop showing us your shitty husbands. Because as I've talked about, there is this trend online. This has been going on for years now, but it gets worse every single year, I feel like, where women come on and they're crying or sharing something horrible that their husband or shitty boyfriend did, okay? And then as soon as someone is like, girl, leave him. Do you have kids? No, fucking go. What are we doing? Then they're like, you don't know our relationship. I don't know your relationship. I don't know this man. You've shown me this interaction. And so all I have to, you brought me into this. I don't want to fucking be here. You posted this shit. You posted your husband making you cry because you bought groceries for the family. And apparently you overspent on groceries. And now you have to go and return everything you bought because you had the audacity to buy groceries without talking to him first. What are we Leave him. Girl, I'll get the hammer for you. What the fuck are we talking about? Or, God, what was another one? Oh, like, I asked my husband to soak the beans. And so he just takes like a full bag of beans and just sits it in a thing of water as if that could possibly be what she meant. Like, let me guess, you're not going to leave him if I say it. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, like, fucking leave him. I bet. And, like, the reality is, it's like, you can't get someone to leave their husband or their partner if they're not ready. Straight up. And I get that. I've never been the person in that situation, but I've been the friend that's had to try and talk to their friends to be like, when are we done with this, actually? Okay? You can't talk someone out of leaving if they're not ready. Okay? It's just the reality. All you can do is basically make it very clear that you are there when they are ready to talk. That's kind of it. However, you're not putting this shit on the internet and making me deal with it. You're not making me a witness to your casual miserableness. And I don't want to be a part of it, frankly. Go to therapy. Go to wine night with your friends. Oh, wait, your friends are also sick of hearing about your shitty husband, probably. What are we doing? He's a great guy, and all you all don't know our relationship from the short clip. And the woman was like, yes, yeah. And like back and forth, like there was a woman, and like people were very. My whole thing with this take, because I believe that if someone believes that you are like privileged or have it easy or like you don't do any work, it's not even worth your time to try and convince them otherwise because they've decided themselves. Just go ahead and go about your life, and maybe they'll feel like an idiot down the line. But like, there's no point in convincing them. A woman made a video being like, my single friends don't know how easy, my child-free single friends don't know how easy they are because they don't have kids. Every day is a vacation for them, basically, was like the video. She went into elaborate, but basically was like, if you don't have kids, you don't realize how easy, how good you have it, because I'm always doing something, and because you're single, you're not always doing something. You're on vacation. And a bunch of people were like taking offense to that and shit. It's like, oh, because I'm single and don't have kids, I don't have hardship. What the fuck are you talking about? And like, she was, in my opinion, wrong. Also, I don't get why we treat choosing to have a kid or having a child as like martyrdom. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know? Like, I don't know. I mean, most of my life experience when it comes to people with kids is like when I worked retail and stuff, and like the amount of hours and like shit jobs and things like that that I had to deal with because I didn't have kids, and they were like, "Oh, Amanda can do it," because everyone else that worked there had children. I don't know. It was shitty, frankly. And it's like, yeah, I did it because I wanted money, but like, I don't know. Does her having a child make it so that she needs to prioritize her schedule over mine? Like, what are we doing? And like, I'm very accommodating when it comes to certain things. Like, I'll work Christmas so you can have Christmas off. I don't give a shit. But like, why am I being told to change my school schedule because this mom who also is in class, because her school schedule conflicts with mine? Why am I being told to change my school schedule? Hire more people then that have a different. What are we talking about? That's insane. Like, I can't imagine this past month if I had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, frankly. I can't imagine how it would have gone with how busy I've been if I was like someone waiting to text me back or someone waiting on me for me to text them back. Like, I doesn't sound appealing. Now, at least I don't have a kid in this. You know, like someone brought up a good point. It's like, you know, I'm having such a crash out right now, but all I can think about is thank God I don't have kids. Yeah, like I have friends that like most of my friends that are married don't have kids yet, but they're trying for kids. And like, sure, the reality's probably gonna hit like a truck, but like, I don't know. The village does still exist for a lot of people. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, like there was a woman on TikTok and people were eating her alive, but I'm actually really glad that she made this video because I think more people need to consider this, you know, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to, with hoping you have a healthy baby, okay? Because, like, you know, the statement is, are you hoping for a boy or a girl? I don't care as long as the baby's healthy. And there was a lot of people that were like, frankly, too woke, where they were like, oh, so what's wrong with having an unhealthy baby? But then a woman on TikTok recently, she's like, I don't want to have a child because I am not prepared to have a child that's disabled. I know I cannot handle that. And so I am not going to risk having a child. And that is a very real thing that people need to consider when they're thinking they're going to be a parent. Everyone thinks that they're going to have a healthy baby, and sometimes it's completely outside of your control. And it doesn't mean that you're going to love that kid any less. But you need to be realistic about your income, your housing, you know, your tolerance for waking up at 2 a.m. because a medical machine needs to be reset. You know, like it's blunt, but you have to have that discussion with yourself. That's a discussion you should have with your partner as well. You know, where I can barely take care of myself right now. She's pregnant. I'm so nervous for them overall. Yeah, you know, I have a friend who would love to have a baby right now, but she is not going to because she is currently in Atlanta, nearby a certain hospital. Um, that one woman was kept on life support till her baby was born, till they could deliver her baby while she was brain dead. And she's like, I will not risk that happening to me. I will not risk a complication and not having options. So until she's able to leave the state, she's there for a specific reason. She's like, we're not trying until this is sorted, frankly. Yeah, accessible schools, programs, yeah, 100%. Can't take myself without help. I wouldn't be able to take care of a healthy kid, let alone a disabled one. I don't know if I'd even survive pregnancy, TBH. Yeah, I had this talk with my dad the other day because my dad would love grandchildren. And I've been adamant for most of my adult life. I'm like, listen, I get you want grandchildren, but if you put me on this earth to give you grandchildren, that's a you problem. That has nothing to do with me. That's not why I'm here. You know, I have many things I want to do. If being a parent at one point involves that, great. Okay. I also brought up maybe adopting, and he made a sound, and I was like, what's wrong with me adopting a child? Just for that, I might adopt a 16-year-old. Just for that. I'm gonna help a child. Just for that. Because I'm an asshole. But you know what? Well, at least to my father, I'm an asshole. But, you know, he's annoying. But the reality is as well is for both me and my brother, my mother was bedridden for the last trimester, which is something that I think a lot of women don't talk with their parents about, you know, hey, what was pregnancy like for you? Because genetics do feed into that as well. And I'm shorter than my mom. My mom is a few inches taller than me. I am the shortest of my family. The likelihood of me being bed rested or having very physical complications with pregnancy is very high. And that's something I have to think about, because now let's say the baby is born, let's say premature. Let's not even add any other disabilities, just premature. And then I am also hospitalized because of some complication with the birth. Now what? You know, what's going on now? You know? Certainly I'm not going to marry a fucking loser who wouldn't be able to handle that, frankly. And so we're back on, I saw there's a lot of, I think it's, what's his name? Stephen Bartlett, whatever the fuck his name is, who's the Diary of a CEO guy. There's a clip of him going around that's making everyone upset right now. Understandably, it's an insane clip, about how, what should people do because there are men whose genetics are just their name, their lineage is going to be ended because they can't get a girlfriend, they can't get married. And it's some people would think that that's, you know, evolution. It's it is. Be better. I don't know what to tell you. It's a fucking wild clip. It's fucking wild. He's like, should someone step in and mitigate that? They basically start talking about should there be a plan for lonely men to get partners? It's fucking wild. With failing healthcare and complete disregard for a woman's health. Yeah, exactly. Trot out how women have been having babies for forever. Boo. Forget how many of them died doing things going wrong. I want you guys to look up, if you think you have the stomach for it, okay? I watched this in my women's studies class and I highly recommend it. Let me tell you this right now. I'll never forget this. Lisa told me this and she meant it in good faith, but it's a wild thing. It wasn't until I was 19 in my women's studies class at college that I learned, my parents signed off on every bit of sex education. I was allowed to do everything, okay? I did not know until I was 19 that after you give birth to the baby, you basically have to give birth a second time to the placenta. Had no idea. you have to then birth the placenta. It doesn't just come out with the baby. You have to like push it out separately. And sometimes it can get stuck, can cause multiple complications. It can cause internal bleeding if it doesn't detach properly. It can leave chunks behind, which would also lead other problems. If they don't get all of it, it can lead to sepsis because it starts to rot once the baby's out. Okay, it's a whole bunch of stuff and various infections. Yeah, like there's so much that can go wrong, and I had no idea. And I brought that. I was like, "Did you know that?" And she's like, "Yeah. Well, if you knew that, you wouldn't want to have babies." And she never had children. She considered us her children. She meant that with all the good faith in the world. But I'm like, yeah, that's fucking wild. Okay. But I want you guys to watch if you can stomach it. It might still be on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. It's called The Business of Being Born. I watched it in class, and it talks about it's a documentary. It's made by two women who are talking about like the at-home births, doulas, midwives, things like that. And one of them, while they're making the documentary, one of them finds out they're pregnant and goes through this whole journey as well while they're making this documentary. But they go through the history of childbirth in the country, including at one point, there was a time where women obviously were kept away from their husbands in history while they were giving birth, and they were given like things that would mess with their memory, and they would be tied up with like lamb's wool or whatever so that it wouldn't leave marks, so their husbands wouldn't ask about their marks, where they would just like wail in pain and give birth to the baby because there was no, why not just restrain them, because there was nothing until the epidural and all this other stuff, and like Pitocin and getting the baby out. It's a whole bunch of things. Like I recommend it just because it's insane, but I do think you should watch it because it's a jarring view, but it also talks about a lot of the fact that we have a very high infant mortality rate in the United States. We do. The mortality of the mother and the child goes up when we get into lower income and more diverse areas, specifically with Black women, specifically. Like the death rates of mothers and complications after the birth, which often, sometimes I believe, are not properly reported because it's after the birth happened, the baby's here, so they don't even attribute it to like, oh, complications related to pregnancy, because it's happening later. So it's like, it's crazy. It really is. And it's like, yeah, I'm just not supposed to be worried about that. I'm not supposed to be afraid of that. That ain't shit possibly. Yeah, exactly. You can also have a relatively easy baby followed by an emergency hysterectomy. Ask how the childless me knows. Yep. I'm probably going to be the end of my bloodline for multiple reasons. I mean, I'm not even the one that needs to be on top of this. My brother is the only boy on my dad's side of the family, like of our generation. So he'll be the only one with the last name. So it's like, I told my dad, I was like, just be glad your son hasn't knocked someone up, frankly. Thank God. Thank God. We know about pregnancy comes from borderline vivisection done on Black women. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy. It really is. But yeah. And then people give people shit, like the girl with the list. There's a girl that has a list on TikTok where she just like adds things to the list whenever like someone shares something about pregnancy or like a baby. So like one time a woman gave birth to this one I still think I saw this initial video. Normally I see like the girl with the list video, but I saw this video first. This woman had triplets, okay? Healthy delivery. But because she had triplets, her breasts were making so much milk that the glands were overflowing, and she was having pockets of milk show up, I'm gonna throw up, in her armpits. Like literal, like almost like little baby boobs, pockets of milk leaking into her armpits. And I was like, absolutely the fuck not. I'm not squeamish about a whole lot. Like there's things that like upset me, like you see me react in videos and things like that, but very little gets me like actually squeamish. Armpit shit, don't fuck with armpits. Still one of the worst one of the worst horror movie injuries that I still think about to this day is Halloween Kills, and it's the gay couple, and Michael Myers breaks into the house, and he gets one of them in the armpit with a knife. And I'm just like, oh god, that's actually worse than getting your head taken off. I think that's worse. That's so, I don't even know how to register that type of pain, like what that could feel like, and it makes me so uncomfortable. Just like, oh god, it makes me so uncomfortable. I hate it. I hate armpit stuff so much. So like the thought of just having, oh god. It's one of the reasons I've never gotten my armpits waxed. Thank you for subscribing, King C. You won the small Grand Prix. Wow, 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 wow. It's one of the reasons I've never gotten my armpits waxed, because I've heard horror stories of people getting like chunks of skin taken off from like improperly done wax. And I'm like, yeah, that's not fucking happening to my armpits. It just straight up is not happening. Hi, Sparkly. Welcome in. We were talking about childbirth. And then I started talking about oh god. And then I started talking about armpits. What would you even do about that? Go to the hospital, fucking. Does childbirth scare you? Absolutely it does. Why wouldn't it scare me? Let the sun set is wild. Childbirth should scare you. And this is the thing that like 50-50 men, okay? I am not above going 50-50 with someone. I'm not above that, okay? Early on in the dating scene though, if you're a dude and you're trying to impress me, don't start trying to argue with me about 50-50. Because I'll just never speak to you again. It'll be really simple. Like if your whole goal at the start of the relationship is like putting us into a box or like trying to humble me, we're done. You're being weird. Okay. We're like, or like what I've done before is it's like if you ask me out on a date, I'm assuming you're paying. But then if it's like, oh, like a second or third date and it's like, oh, I'll get the popcorn, I'll get the movie, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, the back and forth. You get it. Okay. It's one thing. Okay. But like the men that are like, it's 50-50 in all things, including marriage and children and all this stuff. And it's like, if a woman is giving birth, like it's so improbable to make it 50-50 with a man, just because it's like, not only are you birthing a human, you're growing life. Okay. It's like 10 months. It's not 9 months. It's closer to 10. Okay. And then, so you're growing a human and then you have to birth that human. Okay. Has to come out somewhere, somehow. Okay. Then there's just certain things that like, as a mom, you're going to have to do. Okay. If you choose to breastfeed, things like that. All while your body is recovering from evacuating a human from inside you. Okay. And we're supposed to act as if this is equitable. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Equity is impossible. Yeah, like I think there was a story of it was in their prenup, which I'm team prenup, by the way. And because I make money, so I will be team prenup. Plus, my parents had a messy divorce with no prenup. There will be a prenup. I don't care if I make all the money or you make all the money. There will be a prenup. I don't give a shit. Man, woman, otherwise, there will be a prenup. But I got a list. It's all on me. 4951 then, LMAO JK. It's like she wrote him like like a bill for like they decided to have like a totally equitable relationship, and she wrote him a bill for what he owed her for the pregnancy in finances, because like he couldn't birth a child, so there was a dollar amount assigned to it, and it was like this whole thing where for most of their relationship that had been fine, but until there was something he physically couldn't make, like a one-to-one thing, they were like, okay, then let's make it money. Like, if, because like her body is forever changed. I know people now that are married that are in their prenup, it's literally said that like the husband will pay for the boob job after the kids. If she gives the kids when she's done it, when they've decided they're done having kids, like he will pay for her boob job and her tummy tuck if she would like one. Like, because it's like, yeah, well, we want kids and I can't do that, so this is easy. Yeah, I think it was separate from the hospital bill. More about the salespeople were at CES this year. In a second, maybe. We're not talking about that. That makes sense. Charging their husband for cleaning or whatever. I mean, if you're truly trying to make it equitable, because also what the 50-50 husbands as well get so often gets so weird as soon as their wife starts doing things for themselves that don't involve like cleaning the house or tending to the children. Like if she starts doing a like little side hobby on Etsy or something and starts making money, they get so weirded about it. Like the can prenups be set up after? So a postnup would be after the nuptials. So like after the marriage, you can get a postnup. I've seen postnups a handful of times. I personally would not get married without a prenup, personally, even if someone I was marrying had way more money than me, as like a personal thing of responsibility for both of us, frankly. Postnups are a thing. I think they're harder because obviously you're both already married. It's more so like protecting, assets and things like that. Like if someone was hiding debt or something in the marriage, and then surprise, we're legally bound, and now he's surprised me with $100,000 of gambling debts or something. Because those men want women to be dependent on them and below them forever. Yep. Which again, I just won't tolerate. I've heard that women get push presents after each child they give birth to. Push presents, I think, I've also heard of baby moons. Baby moons, which I think a baby moon is very fun. I've seen women that do it with their friends, or they do it with their husbands, and it's usually like the last like vacation they go on before the baby is here, which I think is healthy. Because then it's like it's not like I think it's healthy as long as it's something that's like within reason. Just because you don't want something too extravagant, because then it's like, oh yeah, we'll never get to do this again without the baby. When it's like, I think that's like a weird precedent to set for yourself. But like a nice little like, hey, we're gonna be surrounded by doctors and family members and a new human after this. We're not gonna have time for each other. Like, let's go on a trip together to like have time for each other before the baby is here. Like, I think that's really healthy. I think that's good. Push presents, I mean, I would buy myself a push present. I don't need you to buy me a push present. I'll do it myself. I don't care. Was watching a video about similar topic, how a lot of romance authors start out as married stay-at-home moms who get divorced after earning a certain amount. Yep. My ex made more than me and still paid for the bills since we lived together. I had no issue with it because go out if I had no money. Military didn't pay a lot. I do think a push present is fun, but like a push present where it's like it has to be like a designer bag or something. Like, I don't know. I like sentimental pieces. Like I like sentimental jewelry pieces, sentimental things. Like I don't know, like a charm or something that's like the baby's birthstone or something that I can add to a bracelet or something for like if we have more children. Like that, I think that's like a fun thing. That's like a fun sentimental, but that's very specific to me. I also see people that want push presents that are like, I want this Chanel bag for my push present type of thing. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's dependent on the person. Because, like, I would like something sentimental if it were to be the case, but, like, I wouldn't need something, like, super extravagant, you know? Is it weird that I want to know or feel what it's like for women that give birth or just feel, or just the push? Oh, you can. Those TENS units where it stimulates, so you can feel like what a cramping is like. They can simulate the feeling of childbirth if you're ever curious. Um, Mpreg, yeah, that's it. Um, you totally can go to one of those things. I don't know if where they have them, but you can look it up. I'm sure there's someone that like does it so that you can feel the feeling of childbirth. I think a lot of birthing classes, some birthing classes I heard were doing it to like show the husbands like what their partners were gonna go through. I've seen some push presents that are foods you can't have pregnant. Ah, yes, there was one. I loved the woman that got the big ass sushi boat. Her husband brought her like a big sushi boat because she was so excited to have sushi again after the baby was born. I feel like that would be. I love sushi. I feel like that would be me post pregnancy. I'd be like, sushi boat. Who's hooking up the sushi boat? POV husband was the guy who did that for his wife. There's a couple. There was one that I saw he like assembled the whole thing. That might have been it. Just roll a sushi cart in. It's not the same thing. I would do a sushi boat right now if I could. Better to get a gift you will for sure enjoy instead of something your husband wants you to have. Yeah. Like, for example, it's like, hey, let me put it this way. Another thing that I would like as a push present is like, if there was a dress or something that I was like, oh, once the baby is here and as like a motivation to, no, fuck it, changing that. That sounds insane. Like a nice sweater or something, but it's like something that you want. The whole point of a push present is that, hey, you just birthed me a human. You just birthed our child. That's an incredible feat. What do you want? I will get you anything, It is something that she would want. That's the whole point of the push present. Of a woman shotgunning a beer after birth. That's crazy. Of course, Maryland's going to build the second sphere. We should really be asking why they need to. Are they communicating? Maryland? It's really far. I just got a nice diaper bag I knew I'd have to carry for years. I saw a Reddit story of a woman asking for a brand new car as a push present. I mean, hey, if you got it like that. Like I think sometimes people apply other people's circumstances to their own lives. And it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, that's absurd. I'm not going to get someone a new car because they gave us, because they birthed our kid, because we can't afford a new car right now. You know what I'm saying? But there are people who can afford that. So, of course, they're going to ask for a new car. Yeah, and considering we still have the whole and it's like, okay, well, did you have like a girl like a non-family car? Does the car you have not have good car seats? Is it not safe? Is it an old car that breaks down a lot? Because then that also makes sense to be like, hey, for a push present, I think we should get me a new car since I'm gonna be taking the baby around. You want your kid to be in a safe car, don't you? I think asking for a car that is driving a baby around safe is a good call if you don't have one. Yeah, I saw a post of the car push present that was a car she didn't want. Okay, yeah, fuck that then. Again, it's like, why? Because it's like, okay, the car has to make sense. Like, I have a Camry. A Camry is a very reliable car. Could it work if I were to have a baby tomorrow? Probably. Would I want something that was maybe a little taller and a little easier to like load a baby into, so I wasn't scrouching down to like load? I have to crouch down to load Hermes into my car. Would I want a slightly taller car in that instance? Probably. But like it would make sense. But if you come up with a two-door Porsche, it's like, yeah, of course I want a fucking Porsche. That's not the point of what I wanted it for, though. You know what I'm saying? After my first kid to an SUV. Yeah, see, that makes sense. She already had a fine car and it just wasn't new, and she wanted a new car. Okay. In Good Husband World, I've got a cousin who, after their third kid, they'd already decided no more kids. He had already made an appointment surgery for himself, no arguments. Yeah. I mean, hey, my parents were the same way. My dad has openly talked with me about like, because for him, it like was never an argument. He was like, yeah, I went and got the surgery. Like I went and got clipped because that's my wife. And like my parents divorced. They had a messy divorce. Okay. But like it was as soon as they decided they were done having kids, both because my brother was a psycho and because it was so tough on my mom, my dad was like, yeah, this makes sense. Let me go get it done, you know? Or about the hospital bills of having kids that only scares the fuck out of me. Yep. Yeah, and it's like, it's one of those reasons where I don't get surprised that a lot of women turn to influencing or blogging or mommy blogging to like help support the household, because kids are expensive, especially like childcare costs are deranged. And it's one of the reasons that Trump administration is going after childcare is because they want people at home doing childcare. They want women at home not working and doing childcare. That's what they want. That's why they're trying to demonize childcare in this country, and taking away all like government subsidized childcare and all this other shit for a variety of reasons. But it's that's one of them. Is that I think it's literally in Project 2025 to get women back in the home. And it's just, it's one of the reasons that I will continue to be a villager for when my friends do have their kids. So, about how a lot of women lose their community of friends after birth. Why do you think that happens? I think it's a couple of things. Sometimes the reality is that, people drift apart and grow apart. I am at a very specific part of my life where if my friends have kids tomorrow or my friends want to stay single tomorrow, I can go either way with them, you know? But there's also the reality of when some people just don't want to have kids and they really don't want to be around kids and they don't want to hear about your kids. Some people, it's not uncommon for people's whole life to change when they have children because it is a life-changing thing. You've brought a human into this world. And so that does sometimes fundamentally change who you are as a person. And there are people that are going to grow and change and to be away from that. And it's going to suck. But like, that's why mom groups are important. That's why, trying to find people that are also parents are important. There's a variety of different reasons. It could be that like you full on pushed your friends away once you had a kid because they don't understand because they don't have kids. Like it could be, and those people are just not sharing that reality part of it. There's a variety of reasons as to why I'm not friends with people anymore that I used to be friends with. Was it because they had a kid? No, nothing to do with that because they don't have kids. But like sometimes adulthood people just change, that they want women to be back in the home when it is almost, unless one person has a really, no, because they straight up don't understand how real life works, Whiskey. That's straight up what it is. Her for my cold dead fingers. Cool. 100%. Period. A lot of new parents also expect their friends to alter their life to fit their kids and be babysitters for them. There's that too. I think it can be it can be a multiple of things, like for example, I think I gave this example the other day, when I was talking about how my friend, when he got married, stopped trying to get me to date people because he was convinced like, oh, Amanda should be dating. Like, Amanda's great. She should be with someone. And then he got married, and he just started looking at his wife's single friends differently because he heard like other people's motivations for dating, and he was like, that doesn't fit you. Like, you can travel whenever you want, you live alone, X, Y, and Z. Steele, thank you for following, subscribing on YouTube. You can travel as much as you want, you live alone. Like, a lot of them were like, oh, I need a date so that I can travel, I need a date so I can move out of my roommate's situation, so I can go do X, Y, and Z. And he's like, you just go and do that. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Or like, you are like, you already know who you are, you don't need to figure yourself out in a relationship. And like, that's just the reality of it. Whereas a lot of people don't have those realizations, or they have those realizations and they're just like, okay, these things that my friends are worried about, I don't really care about anymore because I now have to raise a human being. You know, like, there can be a myriad of things that lead to someone just like distancing themselves from someone. It may seem like it's the baby, but it was never the baby. You know what I'm saying? Kids also take up so much time, it's easy to not keep up those connections. Yeah. I think it's that. I think it's also like, I don't know. I have friends that I love and adore, and if they call me, I'll book a plan and I'll come over. But like, I don't reach out as much as I used to just because they stopped reaching back, you know? Or like, it just like they stopped replying. And it's like, if it doesn't mean I don't care about them, but like, we're not as close as we used to be. It's just the reality of it, you know? I honestly do want to have kids, but I don't care if they are mine. My bio, I totally am down to adopt. Love to be an uncle. I've seen it more. They underestimate the trouble of raising a child despite their friends telling them, and then blame the friends for not helping them when they get overwhelmed. Yeah, facts. Yeah, also sometimes people have children with shitty dudes and their friends warned them. Sometimes there's that too. There's always that possibility. The only people I'm down to help raise and normally babysit would be my sisters. Men. Men. But yeah, it's a lot of that, unfortunately. Like, I grew up wanting to be like Uncle Arrow from Avatar, so I'm going to be super awesome uncle. Yeah, like, I've joked with a lot of my friends that like I'm probably going to be like mysterious Aunt Amanda that's like always traveling and coming back with gifts for my friends' kids. Like, we've joked about that, but like, I don't know. As I've said, I believe in being a villager, you know, but also I have friends that also, you know, show up for me the way I show up for them, you know. If you're the only one showing up, then when the other person suddenly you don't, everyone feels like you turned on them, you know. I have a lot of Leo in my chart, so I'm certainly prone to jealousy, but in the end, I'll still be around when my friends decide to multiply. I don't think it's a jealousy thing. I think a lot of people attribute these things to jealousy. I don't think it has much to do with jealousy. I think it's not to say that it doesn't always, because, you know, sometimes it is jealousy. But sometimes it's like, hey, I liked how our life was before, so I'm just going to keep up what my life is doing. But your life's changed, and that's cool. Good for you. I'm going to go continue to live the life that I like. And you now have this cool new life that you like. That's great. But, like, we're not compatible as friends anymore. That just happens sometimes. More men would be outspoken on social media about not wanting to have kids. I thought I would have a hard time meeting a man who doesn't want kids, but I wasn't. I feel like a lot more men are talking about it now because of like, they're like, I am selfish. I want to be in the lives. I want to be there for my friends' kids when they have kids, but like, I don't want to have a child. I also feel like we've been seeing a lot more talk of men needing to pass on their legacy. What legacy? Who knows? Because it's like a legacy, and it's like, and you work at Taco Bell. Like, what are we talking? What legacy are we talking about here? Like, I don't know what you mean. Like, there's no sports dynasty here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are is eugenics shit? Still, it's. I don't think it's eugenic shit all the time because it's like a lot of these men are just regurgitating podcast talking points where I'm like, where did you get this? This is weird. Pass on what? Your kick channel? Your gambling debts? Your parlay that didn't hit? I don't know. My legacy has to go on. Who am I going to give the retro game collection to? My legacy will go on when there's a wing in a library named after me. Like, that's how my legacy is going to go on. I don't need to have kids to do that. One day, one of my baby cousins or baby nephews or nieces is going to do a presentation on how the coolest woman in their life is Amanda fucking Golka. And that's going to be the reality of it. And that'll be my legacy. I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with that. I feel like it's always bums who want to pass on a legacy. Yeah. Yeah, you know what's so funny? They want to pass on a legacy, but they have zero desire to raise a child. I need to pass on my legacy, so we need to have kids. But are they there to help raise those children? No. No. Get a dog. I don't need kids to pass on a legacy, but I am a fourth person to hold my name, and I consider that an honor that I would love to give down to someone else as well. Get a dog. I agree. I second get a dog. Yeah, normal dudes don't say shit like that. I do agree. The wrong men want to pass on a legacy. When I think legacy, like if who I remembered in Coco. Yeah, you know, and it's like that's people's lives you touched, you know? I write, so I'm kind of hoping that my great nibblings will get a zillion when my book becomes famous after I go to the big library in the sky. Mood. There's nothing wrong with wanting to pass on your name. Like, I would, like, but even then, it's like I've explained to my dad, because I'm an asshole, and also a bisexual, where I'm like, you know what, I might end up hyphenating. Like, I might keep Golka as my last name. I don't know. He's like, yeah, and I was like, well, yeah, if I marry a woman, we're gonna go with whoever's last name is cooler, and Golka's a pretty cool last name, so we'll probably keep that, you know? Like, unless they have, like, a cool last name like Dragon or something, we'll probably just keep Golka. I can see that happening. He was like, pfft. I'm a firm believer also in last names, that your last name should, like when you get married, it should be whoever has the cooler last name. Fuck convention. If I marry a man and I still have a cooler last name, I vote we keep my name. It's okay if they don't accomplish much because the legacy will do the work. I feel like that's wildly depressing. And also sets your child up, any future generations up for a lot. Like, I think if we look at history, that's never how it works. Because I'm sorry, you're trying to make a nepo baby. Am I understanding that? The idea that there is plenty of pressure when you're part of a legacy. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have to live up to my namesake, who invented the cure for cancer. Like, what are we talking about? What do you mean? My old advisor at my office job hated her last name. Her husband hated his, too. So they went with Skyheart. Their full names both sounded like fantasy pilots. I was a big fan. That's so funny. Cells, it's a life worth suffering for. That's deranged. I want to have kids because I think I could raise a good person and I want to experience that challenge. There you go. Terrible dudes I know. Ah. Like, I would like to have a daughter because I know fundamentally I will be a better mother. fundamentally, because I know what I needed and I didn't get. And I will just do literally the opposite of everything my mother did. And I'll be pretty solid. But do I think that my life's purpose is to be a mother? No. Absolutely not. Big Ben 325. So sorry, that's so funny. Caleb Heron once said, I can do a better job than my dad with both hands tied. Mood. I mean, you know. But also, I acknowledge that I probably do still have baggage that probably would affect me in parenting that I don't want to put on a child at this point in my life. Big reason I'm terrified of having kids raised right now is because I'm almost certain I can't provide a better or even equal quality of life that I had growing up. Yeah, that's a very real reality for a lot of people. God, it's so nice to have internet again, chat. I'm not gonna lie. It's amazing. I am open to the possibility of never having children. As of right now, I can see that being my reality. Frankly, if I have children, I will either be adopting alone or be having a kid alone, frankly. Um, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I am not shocked. A line that I heard from someone that they shared of someone else had said to them, where it's like, I don't want to birth children into a world where they will have to fight for water one day. And with the rise of AI and things like that, that is a very real reality. In a lot of parts of the world, that is a reality. Um, I think water wars are closer than anyone really thinks. Right now, we're just seeing it in the battle for like AI data centers and things like that. Um, and you know, it's a reality that I think people need to think about the fact of what's going on with the planet. You know, like you just have to. But the amount of videos would go down. Yeah, hard same about the water thing. Yeah, I was in a teenager when my cousins were toddlers, so I helped raising them. I was so involved, had a neighbor thinking I was a teen mom. And last year, one of them looked me in the eyes and asked me who I am. I moved away 3 years ago and he forgot me. Felt like an unappreciated mother. Yeah, that's always hard. My baby cousins, I was always like the babysitter running around during family parties and stuff. And then from time to time, they're just like, okay, that lady's back. It's like, yeah, I fucking helped. I changed your diaper, fucker. Not to mention some billionaires already think water is not a basic human right. Yeah. Like, I would rather never have children than give birth to someone that's going to be working in some billionaire's bunker in the end times. Like, pushing their footstool up. Like straight up. Frankly. I don't want to just give birth for the sake of birthing someone else for the workforce. That's deranged. And that's what they want. It's closer than we think, except we don't have any of the cool stuff. Yeah, no, this apocalypse fucking sucks. Everyone looks like a fucking loser, frankly. Yeah, what's that line? It's like, no, it's okay. I just didn't think like the end of the world would be so fucking lame. Like, what was the line? Or that all these guys would look like losers. And I'm not putting someone into a world that's polluted. Yeah, exactly. Hiking down our hill to cleanish river and skipping rocks and learning about animals. You can step in the river even when it's flowing. Mm. Like, I don't know. Being a person of color, teaching my kids to worry about getting killed when they go outside is truly haunting to me. Yeah, that too. You know, it's like, it's it's also like it's a conversation I've also had with my therapist because my therapist has a child. And so we've talked about, like the political climate because I get very emotionally invested in everything, as I'm assuming a lot of you do, even when it doesn't directly, let's say, impact me, just because I'm not a complete fucking psychopath. So, student loans may not affect me. Being black or brown doesn't affect me. Being undocumented doesn't affect me. But I am a human being, and so these things fucking affect me. You know what I'm saying? These are my neighbors. These are my fellow Americans. That's these things fucking affect me. And so, but sometimes I get extremely worked up, and we've talked about, where I talk about not wanting to have children and this and things like that. And she has shared, like, yeah, having a child, like, there are things that I don't do. Like, she doesn't go to protest because what is she going to do? Get a babysitter for her son? She can't bring her son to the protest. If she does bring her kid to a protest, there's children getting maced. There's children getting pepper sprayed that are ending up in the hospital, documented or otherwise. It doesn't fucking matter. Children should not be getting fucking maced. Like, these are things that you have to think about. They would love you to be barefoot and pregnant at home so you can't go and organize. They want you to be 98 pounds on Ozempic and starving because then you can't form proper brain functions, frankly. They want you to be waif thin and pregnant. They love that. You can't organize. You can't go out and be active in your community if you're too weak and too pregnant to go do it. My mom keeps calling me, stop worrying about it. It's not your fight. Save your energy for when it is. Yeah, I have some people tell me the same thing, and I'm like, no, this is so sorry. This is my fucking country. I don't like what they're fucking doing to it. I don't like what the fucking Cheeto is doing to this shit. Like, this is the reality of the world we live in. I can't ignore that. Whether I know these people directly or not, it doesn't fucking matter. This is insane. We learned about the psychology of routine and dehumanization of Nazi death camps in history class, but I watch the news and wonder how people saw this in front of them and felt nothing. Because they like the guy in charge. Like, it was really weird. Let me explain this. Let me see if I can explain this properly. It was weird to be in Mexico, okay? In Mexico City, and be at breakfast in our hotel, and the news is on the television. And I can't read Spanish, so I can't read, or the volume's not on, I can't hear what they're saying. But I know they're talking about the shooting of Renee Good. And then I go online, and there's other countries also talking about this and saying that this is like a horrible war crime, basically. America is murdering its citizens. It's a very weird feeling, because then it's like, yeah, I'm in Mexico for a race, Like, and I think that, an act of rebellion as well is also finding joy. I think that is also important. I think it's important to find what you need to do to get out of bed every day. I can't sit here and scroll on Twitter and let myself be sucked in by the cycle of horrible shit happening in Minneapolis every day, because I will freak out. I will shut down. so I can't, you know? And it's, so I think it's okay to acknowledge for yourself in a way to be informed and know what's going on, but also acknowledge like, hey, I also need to be able to get up, and so I can be helpful to my community simultaneously, you know? And because they think if they lick his boots enough, they will get rich. I wish none of this was happening. Yep. Some people always choose wrong and or power. Jon Stewart was right in calling it the Alabamification of the United States government. There was a clip that Hassan, it was a Fear and clip, Hassan and Brennan Lee Mulligan, and I think Austin, they were talking about like how in real time you can see the supporters of Trump like talk themselves into how they can justify what's been going on. So like, and Hassan said, I could see in real time people in my chat being like, this is horrible. I can't stand for this, for the shooting of Renee Good. And then have it then be like, no, she should have complied though. Like see the switch in real time. And it's like, there is that reality as well. Like that is, in these people are just like, there is a level of brainwashing happening. And it's like, you can't talk to these people. You really can't. They have to get there on their own, truly. Like, frankly, like, I don't know how many of you, so we obviously have been very careful with talking about Charlie Kirk on this page. I was alive when the shooting happened. But Erica Kirk's, response to her husband's death, made a lot of people that I know that were like, even whether they were leftists or MAGA, as you guys know, my dad says he's not MAGA. My dad did vote for Trump. We've talked about this. I argue with him about everything, but still, okay. At the start, he was like, this is horrible, this poor woman, these poor children, da 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 da. Because of how she has been acting, he is like, I don't fucking believe her. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't think that kid in court is the one that did it. Da 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 da. That I don't want to see this. This woman's a weirdo. This is crazy. Sparklers. Why is she not with her children? Like, her own behavior brought him out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think sometimes that is what it takes. I think who is it? Is it the January 6th shaman dude, the guy in the headdress who was like a hardcore Trumper that got pardoned like all the other January 6ers? Isn't he the one that said that everything with involving the Epstein files, he was like, oh yeah, no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with the Trump stuff. That was it for me. That's all it took, Yeah, there was a chatter in Hassan's chat that had changed his correct view by caving into the chat on Moldman's stream. That's crazy. Explain why the shooting was illegal, unjustified, even though I studied criminal justice for college and am trying to go into law enforcement. And then we've got the fucking fuck the Democrats. I'm so fucking pissed. I'm just fucking tired of them being spineless and making sure we vote for them. Fucking fuck. God. We'll give ICE more money if you guys wear body cams. How about we take, what the fuck are we talking? You guys clearly also want immigrants out. Fuck you, frankly. God. These Republicans hasn't worked for the Democrats for a decade now, if not longer. It's just, it's not even appeasing the Republicans. Their whole argument has always been, well, at least we're not Republicans. And it's like, okay, then fucking act like you're not Republicans, because you're not acting like it. This is absurd. They want better training for ICE to do what? More efficiently disappear people? Yeah. Negotiating with the Gestapo is crazy. Want to maintain the status quo. I know. It's just like, we obviously saw this with how much they fought against Mamdani becoming mayor is so historic. Not only because of his beliefs and his views and the fact that he's doing shit. He's just doing stuff, okay? But also, he didn't just have the Republicans going against him. He had his own party going against him. The Democrats fought him almost as hard as the Republicans were. Because they were so fucking afraid of the progressive, of socialism. It's fucking insane. I need to run to New York stat. I'm not even from the US, not gonna lie. I shed a tear when he won. I was just talking about how the Democrats can't possibly run Mamdani candidates, or else they will lose the heartland. We must have centrism. It's just insane. And it's like they talk about some of who they want to run in 2028, and like they seemingly there's some political speculation that is like, oh, let's go higher, let's go older, let's go X, Y, and Z. And it's like, why? What the fuck are you talking about? Or you listen, how about you listen to the young people that are voting for you, whose country they're gonna live here long after you're gone? How about that? A Mamdani-istan, I love it here. 40% of youth turnout in New York. It turned out only because it was Mamdani specifically. Yeah. They'll have lost the plot. Mm-hmm. It's not even that. It's like the amount of people. Like, I'll never forget when Trump won again. I was like, I am contributing to the male loneliness epidemic. That's what I said. Which some people thought that meant I wasn't going to date them. No, that meant I was going to actively start breaking up marriages. I'm going to show your wife exactly what pleasure looks like, and she's going to leave your ass, frankly. That's where I was. And the amount of vitriol that I got, the amount of my male followers that I thought I was fascinated by. Hold on, what are you focusing on? They were like, I thought you were different, Swell, because I was being mean to men. It's like, I voted for Trump because I'm like, I really don't give a shit. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, they were like, the left has abandoned me. Who the fuck are you? What are we talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, the amount, it was just like random men being like bummed out that I wasn't like bummed to the plight of the white man in the United States. Okay. You can't get a job. I don't like, yes, if no one can get a job, go scroll on TikTok for 15 minutes. It'll be at least one video, I guarantee you, is someone who has been unemployed for like 16 months. That is a like under 35 something with a college degree trying to get a job right now because the job market is so fucking horrible. Like, what are we talking about? And it hasn't gotten better. That's now. We're a year into this. Yeah, what is his inauguration? Yeah, tomorrow. A year into this. What are we talking about? Like, everything is awful all the time. This isn't specific to you. You're just mad because you can't get laid. I don't know what to tell you. I also don't get laid. I don't make it everyone else's fucking problem and vote for a racist, convicted sex offender while I do it. What are we talking about? Solving their own creative problem is the whole fucking thing. I don't know what, hang on, this is going to drive me insane. I don't know what it's focusing on. There we go. It's not me, though. Okay, I think it is. It's the most successful job. Yeah, you know, and that's why I don't get frustrated or mad at anyone that's like, I'm going to be a content creator or anything like that. Obviously, I am a content creator. This is also like, of course you want to be a content creator. You can do this job, you can do literally anything in this job. You can be an educator, you can do science stuff. There's so many different things within YouTuber, okay? Sorry, I'm talking way too much, maybe. It's in my lungs now, which is annoying, where it's like, my throat is totally fine. It's just my lungs because of the post-nasal drip. Super fun. But like, my only hesitation where I'm just like, you can't just sit here and be like, I want to be an influencer and that's all your content. That's not what's going to give you longevity. That's not what's going to give you stability. What do you like talking about? What do you like doing? Do it. Your audience will find you. But if you just sit here and bitch and moan because you're not getting followers, I can't get behind that. That's just not going to work with me. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't blame anyone for being like, I'm also going to do content. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do content. I'm going to blow up on YouTube. I'm going to do this. Great. Fantastic. Do it. Let's do it. Jump in. Start, you know. Talking to other men and opening up about problems and make actual friends and like find your own groups of people. That doesn't sound comfortable. The coughing or the postnasal drip, it doesn't sound fun. I hope that reading streams really take off. Yes, I'm cool. Gosh, it's so funny because I was talking about this with my friend the other day because there's some people talking about how people are saying that Kai Cenat is being performative with his reading. Let me tell you this right now. I don't give a shit if it's performative. I don't care. I don't care if he could write a fucking, you know, Nobel Prize winning paper or some shit. I don't give a shit. He's reading on stream, and if he can make reading cool for young men, everyone wins. Truly, okay? It is so important to be reading. It is so important. I don't give a shit if it's performative. One, he's a performer, and two, it gets people fucking reading. Like, I don't care. I don't care if it's performative. Read a book. Read the best kind of performative nature. Reading a book. Do it. Do it. Do it. I need them reading. I need kids reading. Truly. Like even Rakai reading on stream because he was inspired by Kai. Great. Let's do it. Fucking read. Let's get these children reading, actually. The drip ring in your lungs. Yeah, it sucks. Really made kids realize that everything kind of doesn't matter. So if kids can see their heroes reading, they'll think it's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Ophinia, for following. Yeah, I agree. His audience is mostly teens. I think it's mostly teens and young men. I'm not really certain about Kai's audience. Actually, let's go check Kai's audience. Is he streaming right now? He might be. I don't think I follow him. Kai. Okay, he's not live. God, sometimes I forget he has 20 million followers. I think a lot of girls got back into reading, truly. Like, I rediscovered my love of reading during lockdown, which was after, years of being an English major and reading for school and stuff like that. Like, it was important for me to find reading fun again, for me to get back into reading. But now I feel like, I don't know, because everything has become so online, but then also AI. Apparently a fourth grader a teacher went online to share that a fourth grader asked her, why do I need to know how to read if the AI can read it to me? And I think I would have flipped a desk if a child asked me that, if I was a teacher. There's a reason I can't teach. Like, I like educating people and I like learning and things like that. But it's really good I'm a YouTuber and not like a teacher in a classroom, It's good I talk to a camera and not a classroom, because it would be hard for me to not crash out sometimes. I've accelerated reader in adulthood. We are so cooked. I need Hooked on Phonics to make a comeback and make out all the AI. Yeah. Like, I think that, I'm glad Dochi recommended some books to Kai. My recommendation would be, I would give him like the same indication that I did for with my dyslexia, frankly. Not that I think he's dyslexic or anything like that. But I think it's like a lot of things that I used for dyslexia I think would be helpful for a lot of people that are trying to get into reading, especially because a lot of adults are functionally illiterate. You read through a TikTok section or a Twitter comment section, and you'll find out that people are digitally illiterate. Um, is why I'm truly deciding on changing my career path because it's so bad. It's really bad, and I always feel really bad because I feel like every week there's at least one viral video of a teacher like sobbing about some treatment that she got in the classroom, whether it was students not paying attention, not listening, or anything like that, or um, like violence or aggression that they've experienced from students. Like it's really rough, you know. All their money by 2027. Let's hope. I mean, my mom just made her own flashcards and worked with me each night until I could read without issue. Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn the alphabet because of my dyslexia until kindergarten. And then second grade is when I had a teacher that was like, hey, you should have your daughter tested for dyslexia. And then third grade, I got tested. And then but I finished fifth grade reading at like an 11th grade level, you know? And that was a lot of work to get there. But like starting with something that you're interested, especially in adulthood, you want it to not feel like assigned reading. What do you want to read? Do you want to read fiction, or what's something that you are interested in? Pick a topic, okay? Fantasy, music, whatever. Something you were already excited about. Whether like I think music is a good spot, or like something that you think is cool. Like starting there, okay? Do you want to read fiction or nonfiction? Where do you want to start from there? Then like start with the genre, then go fiction or nonfiction, okay? If you are into music, then maybe you're not going to like the history of rap or something like that, but you'll really like a autobiography or a memoir from an artist that you really like and respect because you already like that person, you know. And like that's good because a lot of these people, they either work with ghostwriters or they partially write them themselves, and so that's actually a really good. There are a lot of, I think a lot of memoirs from people that aren't writers are actually a really good spot if you want to read nonfiction, just because I feel like it's a lot easier to read than a lot of people would think, you know. Same thing with like starting small. Like, hey, maybe you don't need to read a nonfiction book that's 600 pages. Maybe you got to go pick up a YA novel. Do you like dragons? Let's find you a YA novel about dragons. Let's go find that. You know, like, so you got to find, I think it's fine to start there and, you know, work your way up because, like I said, a lot of people are functionally illiterate. Same thing as well. Some of these streamers reading on stream, reading, closing it, putting it down, and then repeating, explaining, not repeating, explaining what you just read to your audience to work on our comprehension issues, because a lot of people have comprehension issues. Reading an article and then explaining it after you've read it to see if you retained what you just read. You know, can you communicate that as well? YA, young adult, not YN, YA. Sorry, did I say YN? YN is your name in fanfiction, Y/N. So, sorry, did I say YN? I meant YA. Chuck Tingle. Applying what you learned is so cool, bro. My standardized test reading score was young adult, YA. Young adult is like it used to be the reading level. Now it's more so the like age of the characters, but also factored into the reading level. They're usually easier to read than say an adult novel. And then obviously more advanced than say middle grade, which is like middle school grade novels. I hated AR reading in 7th grade. Nothing like testing as having a college level comprehension at 12 and being told you need to read shit like Les Miserables for your reading class. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people are realizing, because I read Wuthering Heights when I was 13. Okay, a lot of people did. And that's part of the reason that Wuthering Heights, the movie that's coming out, Wuthering Heights, is going to be the way that it is, because Emerald Fennell has said she wanted to make the movie as she felt when she read it for the first time when she was 13, 16. So of course it's going to be like that. But when you reread it as an adult, you're like, oh, this is like a different story than what I read when I was 13, even though it's the same book. Because the lens that you're reading it through the eyes of a 13-year-old versus the eyes of a 27-year-old, are two different things. What, King? No, I know. That's why when the people were doing the POV YN, as in Y/N, on TikTok trend, a lot of there was a lot of guys that were like, I don't understand what you guys are doing. It was kind of funny. Now spicy stuff is popular. Spicy stuff is popular because the romance genre has always been popular. Let's be very clear. The romance genre has always been one of the most popular genres of fiction. It just hasn't gotten that attention, and now it's getting that attention, and unfortunately, it is a little bit of a nightmare. It's just like, it's so much. It's so much, and it's definitely like so profitable. For YA novels in context. Think Hunger Games, Divergent. Yeah. YA also is like the later books of the Harry Potter series. The early books are middle grade. Then I think the last three books are YA. I think the same thing goes with Percy Jackson. The earlier books are middle grade, then they go into young adult. Just being another medium of corn. I don't give a shit. Read your corn if you want. Sometimes I read corn. I don't care. Everything serves a purpose. I really don't care. I'm not inherently against corn. As an intersectional feminist, I'm not inherently against corn. But I think the industry is very predatory, and, I knew girls as soon as they turned 18 in school immediately started doing adult content, like, because we're in near LA area and things like that, but as far as like reading whatever gets it going, I think it's less harmful in books, frankly, because there's not someone directly being, potentially exploited or victimized or anything like that. God. Okay, talking is not going well. I can remember my first sex scene on the school bus and being very shocked about it and mad because I wanted them to get back to the cool assassin one. Corn in books is the most ethical than any other type. I mostly read corn of the fanfic variety, lol. My first time reading corn was a fanfic. I'll never forget, there was a book that I bought, that my parents got me one time in middle school, okay? And there were bad words in this book, and I shouldn't have been I don't remember. I think it was called like Jet Set or something. It was like a scholarship kid gets accepted to like this like elite boarding school, and they use words like fuck, and they're all hooking up, and I was like, I'm gonna get in trouble for reading this, but I wanted to finish the book. So I would just like, I kid you not, I took a Sharpie and I would like cross out every time they said fuck or shit. Because I was so convinced I was going to get in trouble. No, my parents never checked what I was fucking reading. They didn't see shit. It was really funny. But no, the first time, it was Legends of Korra fanfic. Who was going to peep the pages? Dude, my mom was a psycho. I thought we've established this. I thought she was going to beat my ass with that book. My first adult fanfic was Romance of the Three Kingdoms. See, I don't remember the name of it, It was Cora and God, who was the male lead before she got with Asami? God, this is yours. Cora and God, what the fuck was his name? Firebender. What the fuck was his? Why do I not remember his name? Not Zuko. Mako. Yes, Mako. 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 Okay. It was so it involved it was them, and it involved lightning bending. I was like, wow, sex is a lot. Imagine that's your first time reading any adult writing. We're right into electricity play. And everyone's like, God, why the fuck is Amanda like this? Well, she was on Archive of Our Own and fanfiction.net and Tumblr a little too early. I had no idea until like a year later. It knocked me out. I was like impressed. Also, the first fanfic ever wrote. Oh, they were a popular ship. Silly, damn. AO3 moment. Mako, yeah. I'm sorry. It's so funny. Like it's funny in hindsight. Harry and Ginny riding a broom together under the invisibility cloak during training. It sounds like a Cards Against Humanity card in fanfic form. An early adult text me was Breaking Dawn. I was so confused about him ripping the pillows. Gio said he's back in the day. Learning. We used to have someone brought up We Heart It the other day. Stumble Upon, Polyvore. The internet used to be fun. Now everything kind of fucking sucks. The water and fire making the lightning is creative, though. No, it wasn't. They literally could bend lightning. That like lightning bending was a thing you could do in the Avatar universe. Firebenders could bend lightning because it's a type of. It was not easy to do, but you could bend lightning. So I was seeing things I shouldn't have at a young age. Didn't even realize low-key what it was for a long time. I think that's really common, though. You know. Oh, God, I miss Wattpad before they changed so much. Yeah, Wattpad is, like, unusable now. Like, unless you're ready to spend money on things. My first fic was Inuyasha blanket scenario. I will never forget. It's a whole website dedicated to one prompt. One of the first fanfics I found in middle school was the Twilight one. That way, the basis of 50 Shades of Grey. I was horrified but intrigued. LMAO. It's on a paywall now. Yeah, so basically, Wattpad, you use coins to like read stories and read chapters, and it's like a way for people to like some people are able to make money from it, some aren't. It's a whole thing. Hermes, what are we doing? I hear you shuffling around things down there. Hi. Don't you want to come up here with me? Come on. Hi. God. Oh, like those vertical scammy show sites Chad was made videos about. Those are the only things making money in Hollywood right now. Hi, Bubba's. I love you. Hi. The vertical shorts are the only things making money right now in Hollywood. They are fairly cheap to make. A lot of them are weird. There is one. One did do a contest and owes someone $20,000, and they have not paid out. Mm-hmm. Under a fic I wrote many years ago. People love a fic from years ago. Every once in a while, I like look up ones that I'm still interested in to go and like see if they updated. Usually they haven't, but sometimes I get lucky. Some of those BL shorts, it's so sloppy, but so campy. It's kind of fun. Resending, sorry, LOL. I'm still crying over Lightning Play. This has to make it into a future toy sponsorship. I'm losing it. I don't think they would like me saying that, like, oh yeah, Lightning Play, electricity play. I don't think they would like the implication that their toys are going to short circuit Sparkly. And if you're lucky, your toy will short circuit and you get to pretend you're lightning bending. I love the time traveling rival sisters shit. If anyone was wondering, the blanket snare in your brain once because it's showing outside. There's only blanket. Start fanfic. Favorite fic of all time, but I'm the flavor of ADHD-tism that loves reading and watching the same thing over and over again. Fair. Electric attraction, jolts through you, etc., etc. I just make all these bits and then half the chat is like, fucking Amanda. Set up whenever he chills. The problem is that for a Hermes cam setup to work, you guys would also have to see my feet a lot, and I don't trust y'all like that. So. Really easily. That's why it was hot, Omen. Because he was controlling it so well. That's why it's hot. Come here, Bubba's. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I trimmed him down a little bit today. Hi. The best fanfic I ever read was My Little Pony 1, where the weather factory made too much fog and it overflowed into the town and several ponies almost died. Totally fair. We can never forget my immortal. Never for free queen. Hi, Hermes. Hello. He got a bath today. He's all clean. Your head is so big compared to mine. I need to trim you down. Your head looks huge. My baby boy. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a super? Thank you for following. I just realized I think I missed your follow 5 minutes ago. Old man Hermes. You're so fluffy. Yeah, his hair was like his hair was like this long up here, so I shaved it down. It's a little choppy. Does he know any tricks? I'm so sorry. I thought of like a bad joke that was not funny, but it was funny to me, so I'm not going to say it. It was a your mom joke. I'm so sorry. Hi. No, he is not a trick-like dog. The trick is if he doesn't bark at one of my neighbors. That's the trick. For his next trick, he will hopefully not scream at one of my neighbors. Do you want to go down? Okie dokie. Hello. What? You got my socks. I gave you my socks. I also like the fact that every time you read about MPreg in fanfics and stuff, it's always a healthy conversation about body autonomy. I dreamt that I met you, but I called you Swell instead of Amanda. That happens a lot. You're fine. The fog almost killed them because people would get lost in the fog, and it was the winter, so the fog would also freeze on you and make their coats freezing. It was a real threat. Okay. This is very specific. Hello, bye-byes. Always avoid major character death tags, lol. Clear, concise, and well-written dialogue mood. Prices for tomorrow and having laughing this whole time mood. Let me see if I can find the name for it, okay? we can watch a video together. Hi, Bubbas. Fanfic reading stream? No. What's sad is I've read multiple Omega fanfic with better discourse on reproductive rights than real live abortion conversations. Just work at Anaheim Convention Center, so anytime I would read there, I'd be like, I vacuumed the carpet. I lived in that area for so long, so I went to many a thing there. I'm from Tustin, so I'm in that area a lot. Hi, Bobbas. It's called Flash Fog. Science. For Nancy Drew. You guys, Sparkly has been asking for Nancy Drew for like 9,000 years. Do I play Nancy Drew? Wait, what's this? Sorry, I just got an ad for a game. It's called Death and Taxes. I will continue to wait. Which Nancy Drew game? Sparkly, if you can sell it to chat, we will play it. Okay, it's not letting me log into my Steam account. Hold on. I got her last train to Moon. That's right. You got me the game. Is it in the Discord? That's so funny. I just saw one of the Discord messages, Sparkly, from, or no, this is from Gator, I think. Yeah, this is Gator. Gator shared a screenshot of one of the AI like messages from TikTok when I go live there, and it's like a lexic streak. Host posts Vlogmas and Canon a Tangled chat. Ask about her hair, dog Hermes, on or girls' adventure channels. Sorry, I'm Sparkly. We also have a chat where we talk about y'all. Okay? And Sparkly flagged one of you for making a joke to one of the weird TikTok comments I got one time, which is would you date a married man? And then Sparkly was like, "Oh, I see. This is from a previous combo." You've been invited by the Hardy Boys to ride a train out west and meet with the well-known socialite named Lori Gerard. She's got a ragtag crew together to solve a 100-year-old mystery. So you meet folks like an author, ghost hunter, detective, word salad. I remember that. But also Death and Taxes is good, but gameplay is a bit slow at first. Lame. It was that or we just play, I figured we would just play videos or blueprints again. But my Steam is not letting me log in because of the Wi-Fi issues. Obviously the Wi-Fi is back, but... I went bonkers with it. Mood. Yeah, it's not letting me log into to what's it called? I don't know why. Hermes. Of course there were, because over and T for the Hardy Boys. Blueprints, treat yourself. I hear a cricket and I can't tell if it's outside or inside. I'm seeing if there's any videos that I like that I'm like, let's watch a video, you know? Do you want to watch YouTubers that became murderers? Yes, we got one yes. Go for it. Sorry, Sparkly. I've never seen this. You're good. I'm also hunting for bugs in Heartopia, so I'm just vibing right now. Cool. Thank you for following. Welcome back. Okay, which... This is it. Okay. Oh, wait, you can't hear.
Conferences on the latest developments in her field. In July of 2019, she traveled to the scenic Greek island of Crete for one of these conferences, not knowing that this was going to be her last, and that the person responsible for her end would be cut because of his videos on YouTube. The incident happened on July 2nd, when after a conference, Suzanne spent time with her peers and played the public piano in the venue's lobby before saying her goodbyes and heading out to her hotel in the afternoon. Sadly, this was the last time anyone saw Suzanne alive. Her coworkers noticed her absence when she didn't show up for the second conference scheduled for 6 p.m. that evening. It wasn't like her to skip events out of the blue. Something wasn't right. A fact that became increasingly clear when over 24 hours passed without anyone hearing from her. So, on July 3rd, her colleagues called the police to check on her, hoping she was simply sick or something similar. However, when officers arrived at her hotel room, no one answered the door. They acquired a spare key from the hotel management and went inside, only to find the room completely empty and undisturbed. All of Suzanne's belongings were also still in the room. The only things missing were her running shoes and a set of exercise
The voice
clothes.
is probably AI.
Those who knew her immediately understood what this meant. You see, in addition to her academic prowess and piano expertise, Suzanne was also an athlete at heart. She was a double black belt in Taekwondo, and despite her age, loved going on a run every day. Knowing this helped investigators narrow down what might have happened to her. Put simply, she likely went on a run soon after returning to her hotel on July 2nd, and something went wrong after that. She wasn't super familiar with the area, and to make matters worse, the weather was uncomfortably hot that afternoon. There was a strong possibility she collapsed from the heat or something else along those lines. After putting this together, the Crete police immediately dispatched a search and rescue team in the area surrounding her hotel and around popular running trails. Her family even traveled to Crete and put a €50,000 reward for anyone who could help find Suzanne. Unfortunately, Suzanne was nowhere to be found. That is until 5 days later, on July 8th, when 2 young men were exploring one of the abandoned World War II Nazi bunkers scattered across Crete. Around 200 meters in, one of them noticed a piece of burlap covering something on the ground. They picked it up from one end to see what was underneath, and what they found was the aftermath of one of the most horrific crimes in Crete's recent history. The burlap was covering the bloody remains of Suzanne Eaton. A later autopsy report discovered that Suzanne had several broken ribs, multiple fractures throughout her body, a missing ear, and much more. Whatever happened to her certainly was not an accident. The investigators began searching for clues, and fortunately it didn't take long for them to make their first major breakthrough: a set of car tire tracks leading up to the entrance of the bunker. Analyzing these tracks allowed investigators to find the car responsible for transporting Suzanne's remains to that bunker.
Never mind. Great.
It belonged to 27-year-old Yanis Paraskakis, a local sheep farmer. But when questioned, Yanis feigned ignorance and claimed that him driving through that area on that day was nothing more than a coincidence. He went as far as to say that he didn't even know about the existence of that bunker, a lie that would eventually lead to his arrest. You see, Yanis had a dream to become a successful YouTuber. He started a channel with his own name in 2012 and began posting videos. However, if you go to his channel today, all you'll find are 3 videos of him performing an ancient Chinese martial art and meditation technique called Qigong. That's because a couple days before Suzanne's body was discovered, Yanis deleted every other video on his channel. And once authorities recovered some of these deleted videos, it became clear why. You see, most of these deleted videos involved Yanis exploring abandoned World War II bunkers, including the one where Suzanne's remains were discovered. This contradiction gave the authorities the go-ahead to formally arrest him on July 15. It also allowed them to investigate him further, and the evidence they discovered was overwhelming. As it turned out, the land where this bunker was located was owned by Yanis's family. Investigators also found traces of Suzanne's blood in his car's trunk. When confronted with this evidence, Yanis cracked and told the whole story. According to him, he saw Suzanne running down the road and something came over him. He hit her with his car twice before putting her in his car, driving to the bunker, and ending her life there.
Literally one of my biggest fears. Like, I could do fuck all. Let's face it. I do shit all the time that's gonna get me probably arrested, maybe punched in the face. But just simply going for a run and a man just deciding, I want to kill her. Like that, I literally can do fuck all then. What else, what could I fucking do in that moment? If one dude wants to be a psycho. You know? It's crazy.
He later changed his story to where he was compelled to commit this crime by a demon.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately for him, the jury didn't buy this one bit and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 2020. Now, this should have been the end of Yanis' story, but from what I've seen, there's more to his actions than—
Yeah, it is crazy to go straight to, I was compelled by a demon, and not, I got distracted by her running, and I lost control of the wheel, and I hit her, and then I freaked out. Not good, regardless, but still.
Just this one crime he was convicted of. The thing is, Yanis presented his vile act as a crime of opportunity, something he did completely out of nowhere. However, there's evidence to suggest that Yanis might be a full-blown serial killer. For instance, he was apparently detained by the police twice before, once for arson and once for animal cruelty, both of which are well-known early behaviors of serial killers. After his arrest, several other women also came forward, testifying that he had tried to run them over with his car as well in the past. So, Suzanne was more than likely not his first victim. However, the most solid evidence against Yanis is in one of the deleted videos he uploaded to YouTube. In it, we can see him showing some very human-looking bones scattered throughout the same bunker Suzanne was discovered in. These bones were never discovered by the authorities, suggesting they might have been removed by Yanis to hide evidence. But what makes this truly disturbing is what his friend says at one point in the same video. This roughly translates into, "Is this where you left that old guy?" Insinuating that Yanis had disposed of one of his previous victims in the same bunker before. And if that is the case, one can only wonder how many other people Yanis has killed over the years.
Jesus.
Simply Manic 6075 was a YouTube channel owned and operated by 24-year-old Samantha Wolford. She lived in the small community of—
See, I do think there's a difference between people who happen to have YouTube presences that also became killers,
She usually
and
made
like
videos about
a
her day-to-day
YouTuber
life
becoming
and other
like I
random
think a
topics.
YouTuber is a
Her
specific
story
title,
began in
you know.
2008 when she was at the lowest point of her life. She'd recently become the single mother of a pair of twins and had no love interest in her
The
life.
babies.
That's when she met Ernie at a local tattoo shop, and the two hit it off right from the get-go, eventually getting in a relationship and starting a family together. In one of her videos, Samantha described the day she met Ernie as the happiest day of her life. Together, they were blessed with 3 more children, including 1 more pair of twins.
I'm so sorry. At that point, I'm like, get off of her. That's enough babies, you know?
5 kids was a challenge, but Ernie made it work by taking a second job in pizza delivery. So, while they had endured tough times together, Samantha, Ernie, and their 5 children appeared to be the perfect loving family. However, while being a stay-at-home mother was all she could do at the time, Samantha still had a dream of becoming a famous actress one day.
I've always wanted to be an actress. I think it is so much fun. I've been extras in movies. I've had small parts in like short films. It is so much fun and it is so beautiful.
His girlfriend.
It is one of the most amazing forms of art ever to be able to express yourself that way.
Is that the guy who went live and
in
used that as an alibi while he went to
her YouTube
commit the
channel
murder?
And started posting videos, hoping to become a popular YouTuber and fulfill her dream on the internet instead. And things were going surprisingly okay in the beginning. Samantha would post new videos whenever she had something new to say. And while most of her videos struggled to get past 100 views at the time, the few viewers she had were enough to keep her going. But as time passed on, her passion for making videos turned into an obsession. She started spending more of her time on making videos than her family, putting even more pressure on an already stressed out Ernie. Around 2014, she also started accusing Ernie of hurting her in her videos, hinting at just how bad their relationship was going. But then, after posting a seemingly random video in March of 2014, Samantha mysteriously vanished from the internet.
The baby,
Maybe she
just
lost
like
interest
looking.
in YouTube or just wanted to focus on her family again. No one knew exactly why she quit so abruptly. Then, on the 20th of February 2015, viewers finally received the update they were waiting for. Unfortunately, it was far more tragic than anyone could have imagined. It started with the Texas police receiving a call from one of Samantha's aunts asking them to save her niece's life.
Cause County 911, what's your emergency?
I have a home invasion. My niece is tied up. I am at the verge of untying my niece at this particular moment.
Okay, she's tied up.
She is tied up and gagged.
And gagged? Is that what you said?
Ma'am.
Is there anybody else there?
Where are the kids? We have 5 small infants asleep.
Apparently, 3 masked men broke into their home in the middle of the night and attacked the couple while they were asleep.
Jesus.
The intruders then tied Samantha in her bedroom and, after hitting him with a gun a few times, kidnapped Ernie. Samantha somehow managed to get her ties loose enough to call her aunt, who then contacted the police after arriving at Samantha's home herself. By the time officers arrived, Samantha's aunt had set her free from the restraints. The kids were fortunately safe as well. However, what made this whole situation strange was that the intruders didn't take anything else from their home besides Ernie. And from the people who knew him personally, Ernie wasn't the type of guy to make enemies with dangerous people. Put simply, investigators sensed something fishy with the whole situation. But all that paled in comparison to the main objective, which was to save Ernie as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Samantha didn't know anything that could give investigators their first clue. With no other option, the officers took Samantha to the station for further questioning, hoping to extract any useful information they could from her. But what none of them expected was...
I just feel, not that I want to give you advice on how to, like, you know, commit an act of crime, but I just feel like that's, like, the #1 thing that gets people caught, you know? With like committing a murder, okay? They like stage it like a home invasion, but they don't get rid of any of their stuff, you know? And it's like, hey, you said that these guys broke in. Why'd they do that? You still got a flat screen TV. Hey, you were tied up. Why didn't they just take your watches? You got a Richard Mill here. What are we doing? What are we doing, you know? No one ever takes that step. They never do it. It's weird.
Was that Samantha would change up her story completely.
And really, this is a sign of how materialistic we have become as a nation. I'm kidding. Someone's dead. I'm not joking about that. But, like, you get my point. Like, it is interesting that, like, taking a life is fine, but getting rid of a handful of your items to make it look like an actual home invasion, that you can't do? Okay. Weird.
After entering the interrogation room, where before she didn't know anything about the assailants, now she had the name of a potential suspect, John Rebel. As Samantha's story goes, she was talking to her friend.
They take their pets out of the house. Hermes, stop it. That's the bedroom door.
About Ernie's supposed attacks on Samantha, when suddenly a man with the pseudonym John Rebel overheard their conversation and started talking about how a man shouldn't treat a woman that way and that he was going to handle the situation. Well, as it turned out, the name John Rebel actually belonged to someone, a man named Jonathan Sanford. The police found and arrested John not long after Samantha gave out his name, right alongside his two accomplices, Jose Ponce and Octavius Rhymes. Surprisingly, Jonathan put up little to no resistance and immediately confessed to kidnapping Ernie. He also confirmed the worst possible outcome.
He's dead.
That by the time the police got involved, Ernie was already dead.
Yeah.
The three took him to a secluded forest and executed him with one shot to the back of his head. However, even after learning all this, one question remained. Why? Why would three men who didn't even know Ernie kidnap him from his home like that? Every answer to this question pointed back to Samantha, who kept denying any involvement. Even if the investigators ignored her suddenly remembering the perpetrator's name, there were several other suspicious aspects to her story. Like, how was she able to untie herself enough to call her aunt? Why didn't any of her neighbors hear the break-in? And why were the kids all sleeping in the same room, when usually they're scattered throughout the house? It wasn't long before investigators uncovered undeniable evidence of her direct involvement. This included instruction messages she sent to Octavius when the officers were trying to call Ernie's phone, which he had on him. These read, "Kill his phone, shut that down, ditch phone, move." There was no doubt about it at this point. Samantha was in colluding with her husband's killers. And as the investigation went on, the real story came out as well. Samantha had apparently become addicted to the idea of becoming a famous YouTuber, and her neglect of the kids became a constant source of fighting between the couple. But instead of resolving the issue like a responsible adult, Samantha colluded with her friend's boyfriend to hatch a cartoonishly evil scheme to get rid of Ernie. They first wanted to plant hard drugs in his car and get him arrested, but later made the heartless decision that taking his life would be much easier. There's also a chance that Samantha went with the murder plan because it would have brought her more attention on YouTube. She was eventually sentenced to 149 years in prison for killing her own husband, leaving her 5 children completely orphaned in the process.
Jeez, it's horrible.
Diana Lovejoy was a successful technical writer living in the town of Carlsbad, California with her husband Greg Mulvihill. However, while her corporate job paid the bills, Diana's true passion was becoming a triathlon athlete and documenting her journey on video, resulting in her eventually starting her own fitness blog called Lovejoy Fitness and a YouTube channel by the name of Heavy DJ. She started this channel all the way back in 2008, and over the years used it to document various points of her life. From meeting her parents after a long time to going scuba diving with her husband. At one point, she even tried to become a cooking show host of sorts.
Doesn't that smell nice?
Unfortunately, her channel never really took off, forcing her to eventually cut her losses and move on with her life in March of 2012. Or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. In reality, Diana's reason for abandoning her YouTube channel was kind of wholesome. You see, Diana and Greg had been trying for a baby for years by this point. Tragically, Diana had suffered 8 different miscarriages and was quickly losing hope. But then in September of 2012, the two were blessed with a perfectly healthy baby boy, marking an end to their struggle. However, what should have been a moment of celebration started a downward spiral of lies and betrayal, eventually culminating in an assassination attempt. Things started going downhill when just a few months after the birth of their son, Greg lost his job, leaving Diana as the sole breadwinner. The stress of the previous miscarriages, combined with the crushing weight of having to support a family in an extremely expensive city all on her own, spelled disaster for their marriage. It wasn't long before the two were constantly fighting with each other. Things escalated even further on July 9, 2014, when Greg returned home only to see a police officer waiting for him at the door. The officer explained that Greg wasn't allowed to enter his own home because, as it turned out, Diana had accused him of attacking both her and their son. What followed was a nearly 2-year-long divorce mediation, during which the investigators found no evidence supporting Diana's accusations, allowing Greg to get a 50-50 custody of their son. Diana was also ordered to pay $120,000 as a part of their divorce settlement in late 2015. But before the divorce could be finalized, Greg received a phone call from an anonymous number that changed everything. The voice on the other end claimed to be a private investigator Diana had hired recently. And according to this investigator, he already had solid proof of the attack claims Diana had made against Greg. But for some unknown reason, he wanted to help Greg win the case, so he claimed to have left the documents taped to a power pole located on a small hiking trail.
Oh, is he gonna die?
Greg naturally found this whole thing pretty suspicious and decided to take one of his friends with him to the pole on the night of September 4th,
Never go
2016. Sadly, despite his suspicions, he failed to grasp the true intentions of the strangely helpful private detective.
Hello, this is 911.
Yeah. My friend has just been shot.
Do you know who shot him?
There's a guy lying down like a sniper.
A sniper? Did you see him at all?
Briefly, we saw the gun, and he shot at us like 6 or 7 times.
When Greg reached the pole, a sniper opened fire on him, shooting him clean through the chest. Fortunately, the bullet missed his heart by mere inches, giving him a second chance at life. By the time the police arrived, the shooter had already fled the crime scene. But a quick survey of the area allowed the investigators to uncover a pair of towels the shooter left behind. Running a DNA test on these towels led to a man named Weldon McDavid, Diana's shooting instructor. Weldon tried to deny any involvement at first, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. As after a thorough search, investigators were able to find another set of the same towels at Diana's place as well.
Thanks.
They had also received CCTV footage of Diana buying the burner phone Weldon later used to
there's the burner phone, Omen!
Most importantly, investigators also found the gun Weldon used on Greg, hidden in the rafters of his garage. By this point, it was clear that Diana was the one who wanted to get rid of Greg, likely to avoid paying the divorce settlement and keep full custody of her son. Diana and Weldon were arrested for the attempted assassination on Greg Mulvihill and tried for their crimes in November 2017. Both were found guilty, with Diana sentenced to 26 years to life and Weldon to a harsher 50 years to life. The only silver lining in this entire case is that Greg was able to make a full recovery and is now living with his son.
Snaps.
The Gunnar Runar 87 channel on YouTube seems oddly wholesome at first glance.
I think it's Gunnar Runner,
It's owned by an Icelandic boy named Gunnar Runar Sigthorsson and contains a single 3.5-minute video of him confessing his feelings to the girl he loves. The title translates to English as My Confession to Hildur. In it, he says things like,
Hún án efa, sérstakasta manneskja sem ég nokkuð tímann hitt. Ég verð svo ótrúlega glaður bara að vera nálægt henni. Það þarf ekki meira. Og þetta ætlað þér því að ég held sig orðin ástfangin af þér.
However, this seemingly heartfelt love letter turned out to be the key to solving one of the most horrific crimes in recent Icelandic history. And it all led back to Gunnar and the troubled life he had as a child. You see, Gunnar didn't have a mother growing up, resulting in him getting extremely close with his father. However, on the night of September 20th, 1996, when Gunnar was just 9 years old, his father decided to end it all using a gun. What made this already messed up situation even worse was the fact that Gunnar was in the room with his father and witnessed everything. Unsurprisingly, this took a heavy toll on Gunnar's mental health. He withdrew from the world and refused to accept his father's death as reality. Everything seemed hopeless for Gunnar. That is until primary school, when he met a girl named Hildur and instantly became infatuated with her. He'd admired her throughout school and into adulthood, but never found the courage to make a move, fearing he'd lose his only close friend. However, things changed in 2009 when Hildur got engaged to a man named Hannes. This gave Gunnar the push to do something about his feelings. But given his shy personality, he still couldn't confront Hildur directly. So, in March of 2009, he created a YouTube channel and uploaded his confession on there. Hildur never reciprocated his feelings, but the two remained friends. Even Hannes, Hildur's now husband, didn't
Hermes.
He likely regretted deeply just a year later. It all went down on the 14th of August 2010. Hildur was invited to a party that Gunnar was attending as well. But things got a bit out of hand, and Hildur ended up drinking too much and passing out. Given their closeness, the task of getting her home safely was handed to Gunnar. But instead of dropping her off at Hannes' house like he should have, Gunnar took her to his own home. By the time Hildur woke up, it was already morning. She was understandably furious with Gunnar and immediately called one of her friends to drive her home. But nothing could have prepared Hildur for the horrific scene she witnessed on the other side of her front door. Her husband, Hannes, was lying on the top of the staircase near their bedroom, submerged in a pool of his own blood. She ran outside and called the authorities. Sadly, it was already too late. Hannes had received over 20 stab wounds on his body.
Hermes, chill out, Bubbas.
And was long dead by the time Hilder found him. Given his condition, his death was ruled a homicide, and investigators wasted no time in looking for the killer. And while they initially suspected one of his business rivals of committing this horrific crime, it didn't take long for investigators to find Gunnar's video confession to Hilder and bring him in for questioning. Gunnar denied knowing anything about it and was eventually let go due to lack of evidence. Fortunately, not all hope was lost, because not long after that, investigators found a bloody shoe print next to Hannes' bed. Looking deeper into this print revealed that it belonged to a pair of limited edition Adidas shoes. At the time, there were only 18 of these specific shoes in all of Iceland, and Gunnar just so happened to own one of these pairs. This was enough.
Hermes, come here, Bubbas. We need to calm down. This is ridiculous.
The authority to do a thorough
You're being
search
crazy.
of his belongings, resulting in them finding residue of Hannes' blood on his shoes, as well as in his car. Once presented with this evidence, Gunnar confessed to the murder.
And this is why you don't trust a redhead. No, I'm kidding.
And even shoplifted the items he intended to use to avoid purchase records linking back to him. And while he didn't admit to it, Hilder also
I mean, I will give him this. Shoplifting is smart. That is smarter.
Biking or drink that night, since she usually never passed out like that. After committing the crime, he also drove to a nearby pier and dumped items used in the crime into the sea to get rid of any evidence.
Damn.
It was a well-thought-out plan, since he was only caught because the garbage bag he used to hide his shoe prints tore open as he walked. As for his motive, it was just as everyone had expected, with him making it clear during the investigation, stating, "I loved Hilder. She was supposed to be with me. She was not supposed to be with him." Surprisingly, he was found not guilty.
Also, as someone who is a semi-public internet figure, this is also a fear of mine. Is one of you becoming a psychopath and killing whoever I'm with because you think you should be with me instead? I do have those concerns as well.
During his first trial on March 1, 2011 by reason of insanity stemming from his messed up childhood. However, the prosecution argued that he was fully aware of his actions and escalated the case to the Supreme Court of Iceland. Gunnar was found guilty on this second trial and was sentenced to 16 years in prison. This was already lenient given the brutality of his crime, yet he ended up serving only half of that sentence as well. He was released under supervision in July 2019 and now works at a local warehouse.
All right, let's see. Whoops. It's me. Let's see. Hermes. I'm bored, so I made 100K as a teenager. I swear we're just making shit now. Casual
Giant
Geographic.
ginger tree hippies don't always choose
I
peace.
do not.
But in 2014, one shocked scientist when she not only orchestrated the life canceling of another, she essentially hired a hitman to do it. The hairy honey trap was
He wanted her to be with him, so he took out the competition, which I feel like happens a lot more than people think.
executed by a young female named Condor, and the victim was a mother 20 years older named Sidoni. Living in the swamp forests of Indonesia's Mawas Reserve, the two had beef going back all the way to 2009, with Condor curiously approaching Sidoni's at the time 7-year-old daughter, and Sidoni defensively smacking and biting Condor before chasing her off. The perceived insolence stuck with Condor, and the disrespect was tattooed into her psyche. She was not letting that slide. Years later, Condor would catch the eye of a male named Echo, and the two would eventually run into Sidoni. They both approached, and Echo seemed to inspect Sidoni, who was now jockeyed by her 4-year-old son. Echo seemed curious in the mother, before losing interest and proceeding to mate with Condor, right in front of Sidoni. Call it passion or power play, but either way, when Sidoni tried exiting the situation, Condor escalated, ending the lovemaking and savagely beating Sidoni. But what blew researchers away was Echo going from bystander to participant. For 33 minutes, the two took turns beating on Sidoni, sometimes together, sometimes just Condor, with Echo blocking off any escape routes. It was an honest to ape jumping, and his much larger canines meant Echo inflicted the bulk of the damage. The pair didn't stop until a fourth orang, a male named Guapo, chased Echo off and ran defense for Sidoni, before mating with her. The Orange Knight would be too late, as a little over 2 weeks later, Sidoni became past tense due to her injuries, and scientists were left wondering what they had just witnessed. In over 26,000 hours of observation, only 6 female and female attacks were recorded, and none caused serious injuries. Yet here was a spiteful orang leveraging her carnal currency, specifically to erase one of her rivals, and Echo acting as a hired gun, premeditated and personal. It was a shockingly dark look into the intelligence of the Forest Man. One that begs the question, just how smart are they, and just what could they be capable of?
That zoom in is crazy.
To say orangutans are intelligent is honestly disrespectful, because this tree-happy ginger ape is damn near human. That is an animal that can 100% speak. They just really don't want to deal with taxes, and that's only partially a joke. Their name, orang-utang, literally translates to man of the forest, because locals swore they were plus-size people that chose not to speak because they know then they'd have to get jobs. In 2014, a court in Argentina actually granted human rights to Sandra the orangutan after 20 years of captivity. There's a cute saying that goes, if you give a chip a screwdriver, it'll use it as a weapon. A gorilla would accidentally break it. A bonobo would become the screwdriver, but an orangutan, he'd hide it, use it to dismantle his cage, and then let all his friends out. There's a bunch of reasons for this brainy Bigfoot, and one of them is them being the biggest mama's boys on Earth. No other mammal spends more time with its mother, except humans. In the up to and often over 10 years of being her shadow, baby orangs learned everything about how to orangutan. Not only that, but daughters often live around their moms even after having their own baby. This means orangutans are one of the few animals that have a legitimate culture, and what we see is a sum of generational wisdom passed down. In 2022, a notorious Sumatran male named Raucus was seen using a medicinal plant to help heal a face wound he'd gotten in a fight. The 30-something-year-old applied the chewed-up paste of the akar kuning, an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial flowering plant traditionally used to treat malaria and diabetes. Raucus applied the paste for 7 minutes until it covered his wound, and 5 days later, it was completely healed. It's not the first time we've seen animals self-medicate. Parrots will eat clay to detox from all the leaves, and elephants will apparently eat certain plants to induce labor. But what made Raucus so radical is the simple fact that they rarely eat that plant to begin with. There's more evidence of orangs self-medicating with the same plants used by locals, and it's likely this knowledge was taught, and not by humans. Mothers will even teach their young to have the same preferences for food, so that when they get older, they can forage in the same area without directly competing with all the other mother-child pairs. Another thing this citrus simian is smart enough to understand is calculated reciprocity. In this viral video, you see this man Vitali trade snacks with a zoo orangutan. Not only did the hairy haggler refuse until he understood that he'd be getting something back, I swear you can see him check for zookeepers. If it sounds like a stretch, it's scientifically proven this untaxable entity understands the concept. Two orangutans at the Leipzig Zoo in Germany were given 3 different tokens and quickly learned that they could exchange one type for bananas for themselves. The second token type would earn bananas for the other orang, and the third type had no monetary value whatsoever. At first, the female, Doc, had no problem exchanging tokens to get the male, Bim, bananas. But Doc realized Bim wasn't really returning the favor, so she became a lot less generous. That gave Bim enough of an attitude adjustment to start trading his tokens more, until their efforts became closer to equal. There's another story of a zoo orangutan taught to exchange any trash he found in his enclosure for a food reward. Except he then realized if he just returned the trash in pieces, that would just mean more food for him, which was unfortunate when the trash was someone's phone, and tragic when it turned out to be a formerly alive possum. But what exactly is it that makes orangutans so smart? Well, the superpower is how they learn. When orangutans are spending all that time with their mothers, they learn everything they need to by watching and copying. Even after they leave, young males will find an older, flanged male to use as a role model, learning how to be an alpha male by mimicking everything he does. Mimicry is how they learn, and that learning creates cultures. It's scientifically proven when resources are good, orangs spend more time around each other and more time peering, watching, observing the other orangs. It's not just people watching, it's gathering intel, and they don't just do it to
Gathering
each other.
intel.
Orangs regularly learn things just by watching
No,
the
no,
humans
no,
around
no,
them.
no,
This
no,
male
no,
was seen
no,
attempting to
no. Take that saw away from him, actually. No. We need to not be giving the orangutans machinery. I don't care if it's a saw. No. Pull it. Get it back. No. We can teach some stuff like coloring. Okay? We're not teaching them how to use a saw. Give them a Glock. No.
catch fish after clocking locals doing it. And
That's
one female,
crazy.
Supina, tried starting a fire by dipping a glowing stick in kerosene, blowing on it, and even rubbing it with another stick. But this shadow clone jutsu can be wildly inconvenient. Camp Liki is an orangutan research and rehabilitation reserve where the Auburn apes have plenty of opportunities to study humans right back, leading to the trend of orangutans untying canoes from the dock and stealing them, and not even triple or quadruple knots can discourage them. Fun fact, it takes
That's
about a
funny as
7-hour
shit,
canoe
actually.
ride to get to camp, so one documentary crew decided to save time with a speedboat. They lost that time after a redman stole the boat and left them stranded. The power of perception has taught O-rings how to breastfeed, drive, and even saw wood, all from watching a human. It's said O-rings have the intelligence of a 4-year-old, but I've yet to see a toddler that did its own laundry. Now you're seeing what
this
I'm
is
saying.
actually
Bro's
fucked
smart
up.
enough to talk, wise enough not to. And she's only song like that so we don't catch on. But what if I told you there's an even higher level of intelligence they can get to? Deception. Deception requires foresight and anticipating the actions or thoughts of another party. That's where intelligence can get scary. If orangutans
crazy.
have the capacity to trick us, we're talking about a whole different ballgame. Which brings us to the story of Fu Manchu. Now we're talking about an orangutan outsmarting humans, and it happened in the 60s in Omaha Zoo in Nebraska. I know, nothing ever happens in Nebraska. One day, zoo director Jerry Stone was doing his rounds when a couple keepers ran up to him. Panicking, they told him not one, but 5 orangs had escaped and were roaming the zoo. This was not good. Like all apes, an orang outside is a code red situation, and a starting lineup of them walking amongst people was a canon event begging to happen. All it would take was a human or orang getting too curious for it to be a bad time for everyone, and Jerry sprinted to them before anything could happen, and he found them just chilling. Yeah, Jerry was greeted by 5 fugitives just people watching in the elm trees by the elephant building. Clearly all they wanted to do was visit the zoo like everyone else. But you can't just have several hundred pounds of primate in public
Give them the
unsupervised. So
pretzels.
Jerry literally went up the tree, grabbed an orang by the hand, and led them all back to the exhibit with no resistance.
That's fine.
Jerry was less gentle with his staff, and let it be known that another mistake like that and someone would get pink slipped straight into unemployment. Clearly Stone made his point, because nothing like that would ever happen again. Until next week, when it happened again. Yup, somehow, some way, orangutan gang got out again. No one got hurt, they actually went to the exact same spot in the trees. But a troop of tangerine men exercising free will is a nightmare for zoo PR, and this time, Jerry was ready to give someone permanent PTO. Because no shot someone went through all that school in debt just to not close a furnace door. So imagine what went through Jerry's mind when the tans got out again. But this time, there was a catch. I used to think you'd only hear this line in a movie, but nah, someone actually ran up to Jerry and said, "You gotta come see this." And he wasn't wrong. You see, in the orangutan exhibit, there was a moat, and down at the bottom of that moat was a furnace door. And sure enough, they caught one of the males, Fu Manchu, fiddling with the door. They were watching from a distance so Fu wouldn't see them, but they couldn't see exactly what Fu was doing. All they knew was suddenly the door flew open and Usain Bolt felt a disturbance as these men broke the sound barrier running down to stop them. So now the solution was simple. Clear the enclosure of anything that could be used to escape and do it daily. And sure enough, the orang breakouts
The
came to an
O-rings are
end.
gonna eat all my
For
pretzels.
about a week until it happened again. Jerry wasn't even mad, just tired. Remember, he was a zoo director, and these Mandarin menaces were monopolizing his life. And it was while perp walking Fu Manchu, who just had to have the biggest eating grin. Jerry noticed a glimmer out the corner of his mouth. He pulls it out, and it all becomes clear. Out was a 4-inch piece of wire bent like a horseshoe that Fu Manchu had stashed between his lower lip and gum. The very hairy Houdini had been using it as a lockpick for weeks and hiding it in his oral wallet. No one taught Fu. Not only did he orchestrate his own
That's
emancipation,
funny.
he had the foresight to realize he couldn't have the key out around keepers or else it'd get confiscated. Fu Manchu would
That's
be
a
named
little
an
too
honorary
smart. I'm
member
so
of the
sorry.
Locksmith
That's
Union of the
crazy.
United States, and Jerry Stone would go on to work with several other interesting apes, including a gorilla named Harambe. Fu Manchu wouldn't be the last, or arguably the most
Not
creative.
Harambe.
27-year-old Carta used a stick to short circuit an electric wire, and then used a bunch of sticks as a ladder to climb out her enclosure. She then just sat and enjoyed the view for 30 minutes until her keepers pulled up with tranquilizers, at which point she just went back in. Last year, Kimbali broke out of an $11 million habitat in Toronto by cartwheeling past a wire barrier. Mind you, that habitat opened up the summer before. Bro flexed on them 11 million ways. The important thing is, in none of these cases do you see an orang get out with malicious intent. Most times they just cosplay as people. But what if one did have beef and use his powers for malfeasance? This is Ken Allen. It's the most famous name in orangutan lore, and you wouldn't even know the name if his mother Maggie had succeeded in smothering him before he even got it. He'd be named after the two zoo officials that would raise him instead, Ken Willingham and Ben Allen. As a baby, he'd soft launch his
We're naming orangutans Ken Allen.
shenanigans by regularly unscrewing the bolts of his crib and dismantling it. And once he got too big for a crib, keeper Joanne Thomas would take him around the zoo in a stroller, a decision that arguably cost the zoo thousands. 5 days after moving into his new enclosure, June 13, 1985, Ken climbed a wall and got out. Years before, folks caught Ken building a DIY ladder out of some branches. One thing I didn't mention is living in the trees full time means orangutans literally make their beds every single night. Up to 20,000 in a life. Clearly the craftsmanship carries on. Ken Allen spent his freedom wandering the zoo, taking pictures with patrons, before getting escorted back. Not a great thing to happen, but no one got hurt, the wall he scaled got extended, and surely this wouldn't happen again. July 29th of that year, Ken found a way out again.
And surely this wouldn't happen again, July 29th of that year. Amanda staying out of bullshit, July 29th of that year.
This time, his intentions weren't pure. You see, there was another orang, Otis. Ken did not like Otis.
Otis looks like he gets into parking lot fights for fun. Otis looks like he likes to hit on your wife because he knows you're gonna punch him and then he can beat the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? You know? Otis hasn't felt the touch of another in a while, and so the only time he gets it is irritating people at bars and getting into bar fights, you know?
Ken hated Otis. He hated him so much that they actually had to be separated because orangs might be an endangered species, but as long as they were roommates, Otis was an endangered individual. So when Ken escaped the second time, he went straight for Otis's corner and chucked rocks at him. That premeditated stoning put him in solitary confinement. But I'm sure Ken will tell you it was worth it. But the reason for the beef might have been jealousy. Otis was the breeding star of San Diego, with nearly 10 kids and 3 wives. Ken hated him as a concept, so the zoo gave him 4. And of course that backfired, when Ken started teaching them how to disrespect infrastructure too. One day, someone left a crowbar in the enclosure, and instead of using it...
What do you mean someone left a crowbar in the enclosure? Why was there a crowbar in the enclosure? You've got Harry Houdini up in this bitch, causing problems.
While everyone watched, he just tossed it aside, like he didn't even care. An actual orang move, except he threw it to a female named Vicky, and she used it to pry open a window and free them both. Also, Otis wasn't the only victim. Apparently, he took offense to a TV crew filming a documentary on gorillas and pelted them with rocks, until he ran out of rocks and started using cannonballs from his colon. Ken was so crafty, boys would only have a chance of studying him if they dressed like regular guests, cause Ken would never incriminate himself if someone in uniform was around. Ken would break out a few more times, never hurting anyone, except Otis. He did once approach a child and mumble, "No one will ever believe you," before walking away. And if you
no one will ever. You get cornered by an orangutan. You're terrified. And then all of a sudden it gets so close to you. And then it just goes, "Your shirt looks ugly as shit. And no one will ever believe you if you tell them this." And then it just wails and then trots off back to his enclosure. You'd have to check yourself into a hospital because there's no other option. There's no other option.
doubt that, your disbelief makes his legacy stronger. His legacy was he cost the zoo over $40,000 in zoo enhancements, undercover surveillance, electric wiring, and even hired rock climbers to find every possible finger, foot, and toe hold.
That's
But he likely
so funny.
made that back and more, with all the PR Ken Allen brought to the zoo, just by being himself. But except for Otis,
Yeah,
who,
we don't really
let's be
have
real,
like cool
must have done
stories
something
like
to-
this anymore with like orangutans that are break out so often that like there is not a non-zero chance that when you go to the zoo you can see him doing some tomfoolery or trying to escape. That would drive zoo attendants, definitely.
To deserve it. Ken Allen never used his intellect to inflict violence. Bro just wanted a vibe. But what could an orang with a human
Except
grudge
for Otis.
do? There's a story of an orangutan actor hating his trainer and waiting until the two were alone up in a tree, where Pierre strangled his human op and threw him to the ground. But the only proof is the obscure article I couldn't find a source for. Plus, Pierre was probably in the right. Now, Joe's revenge was more than just a story. Joe was an orangutan that appeared in over 100 movies by 1919. This was a time where there were no laws against capturing, selling, and even killing wild orangutans. Universal Studios would take full advantage, and as cute as he was as a toddler, things changed once he became a teen. There would be several incidents with Joe, including a lawsuit where a security guard claimed Joe had mauled him with over 40 bites. There was another time he escaped, and when police pulled up to catch him, Joe stole an officer's gun. But the most infamous case was Joe breaking out of the Universal Zoo, serving straight chaos for 3 days, and even releasing 15 wolves and his elephant friend Charlie on the way out. But Joe did seem to have a code. Not only did he never attack women or children, he'd often defend them. One scene had
Okay,
an actor
Diva.
pretend to spank a child, but because Joe don't play pretend with the little ones, the orang went O-line and leveled the guy. Another scene had Joe's character help rob a lady, but when good guy Joe saw the villain looming over her, Joe folded his clothes, with him in them. By 1924,
With him
Joe
in
was
them.
retired from show business after being deemed too dangerous to work with. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's Team Joe over here. But there's an even darker side to orangutans. So dark that I'ma just drop this.
Damn,
Here's
they
an
did
ad
give
while
the
you consider
orangutan a
your
Glock.
options. Birute Galdeques is a primatologist and one of the leading experts on orangutans, and in the 70s, she arrived at Camp Liki in Tanjung Putin National Park, where she was immediately warned by native Indonesians that some male orangutans can find humans attractive and occasionally, physically, and forcefully act on it. She didn't believe it until a male walked into camp one day and violated a female cook, and even multiple people trying to wrestle him off couldn't stop the salacious onslaught. It's now advised that menstruating women either avoid orangs or walk around with a club. So as you can see, orangutans are capable of anything from petty theft and zoo escapes all the way to premeditated census layoffs. But honestly, they could and should be way worse. An orangutan has never been on record murking a man,
fucking
and
one-liners
some
in
have had
this.
very good reasons. Joe Martin had every good reason, and the fact that he died with no body says more about his kind. The strong mom bond means Joe's mom was almost certainly destroyed for him to be taken. Joe suffered all manners of neglect, including electrical burns from wires, eye damage from the constant stage lights. He was given cigars and alcohol which ruined his health, and he was even knocked out by former heavyweight James Jeffries. All without never really interacting with another orang. Joe going through all that and never severely maiming someone is our entire relationship with orangs in a nutshell. We have done far more to them than for them, in worse ways than you think. I can't even say what this one went through, just know her name is Pony and her story is not for the weak. Orangutans as a whole are a victim of humanity, and the worst part is what happens when they're gone. Once all the orangs in an area are gone, all the generational knowledge of how to live there dies with them. It's not just a species, it's an entire culture that goes extinct, with no way of bringing it back. So what can you on your phone, computer, or TV do? One is obviously support an organization that helps with research and rehabilitation, which is why I'll be donating to Orangutan Foundation International, founded by Galdeques herself. Link down below if you'd like to as well. Also, never support a place that uses orangutans as tourist traps. Any place that lets you pay to play with an orangutan is a huge red flag. But probably the best way is to avoid palm oil. Palm oil is the leading cause of their extinction, and it's in 50% of household products in the West. It's a commitment, but it's looking like we either give up the oil or negotiate the red ape's existence. The choice is yours, just know the orangutans would probably do the same for us. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. But first, I wanna thank y'all. If you remember my elephant sanctuary video, then you know that the park actually flooded a month after I visited. A flood that cost 2 rescued elephants their lives. But you guys came through with the donations, and Miss Lek Chilert was so grateful, they actually made a cake with my name and gave it to the elephants. And seeing my favorite animals eating out of my namesake cake would have been impossible without
so
you
cute,
guys. So
actually.
thank you all. Hopefully one day I can do the same for Camp Leaky. But until then, drink water, hug your mother. If an orangutan hits you, apologize, because you deserved it. And I'm
You deserved it. Okay. We're done. Let me wrap this up. It's been over 3 hours, so I think we're done. Plus, I clearly need to stop talking. Let's see. We rated Phoenix tonight. Let's see. Phoenix looks a little bit like One Punch Man tonight, chat. Have fun, Raiders. Be nice. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right. YouTube streamers, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Have fun. Bye.